Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host Evan Teague. With me, like always, is Noah Bailey. So last week we looked forward at the year ahead. So I thought today it would be fun to look back at the last decade of our favorite video games of the last decade.
Woo!
Now, just to clarify a couple of things. First, if a game isn't on this list, it's either because we haven't played it, we just didn't like it, or we don't like it as much as these other games, and that's fine. It's fine. It happens. I haven't played everything. I'm mostly a Nintendo gamer, and you mostly do PlayStation, so like we just haven't played everything. It happens.
Right.
Second, I know the decade technically only goes from 2010 to 2019, but just it's there
Yeah, no,
ish. 2010 to now ish, like whatever.
yeah, basically 2010 to pretty much today. I pretty much, because I mean,
Yeah.
more or less.
Okay. So yeah, time to and it was so hard to do a top 10 that we both just decided we're gonna do top 20.
Top 20.
So many games, so many like
Because why not, right?
yeah. And I know for my list personally, my number 20 and my number 1 are like honestly pretty close. Like my number 20 is like they're all either A or S tier. So it's not like number
Wow.
20 is
Okay.
like, like a bad game. Like it's like there could be some in here that seem like they're pretty low, but they're like honestly all pretty close to each other.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna go ahead and start this one with my number 20 being Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Okay.
Now, for the record, I haven't actually finished this game, which is probably why it is this low. But up until a certain point, I absolutely adored this game. There are a couple of things I didn't love about it, but I adored this game. I loved the art style, making it actually, look like a comic book. I just loved that. I liked the art style of the original too, but they made them look a little more realistic, which is fine. But I really liked the like more like cartoony, cell shaded comic book style art style of this game. I love all the different like team combinations. Like if like everyone's different abilities had different aspects to them, and if two people in your party use a certain move at the same time, you like do like this like if someone used a fire and a wind attack at the same time, it'll create like a big like fire tornado in the
Hmm.
field just because why not? It's great. I love just how many characters, or even in the base game, like you got some X-Men in there, you got the Avengers, you got the Guardians of the Galaxy, you got the Inhumans, like just so many like Crystal from the Inhumans in this. I didn't even know who she was before then. Like it's yeah, and then after all the DLC, you have the people from Hell's Kitchen. You got Blade and Moon Knight and the Fantastic
Oh,
Four and
nice.
other X another X-Men. Like it's just a lot of fun. I like I said, there are a couple of things I didn't necessarily love. I didn't love the fact that you had to level up each individual character separately. It's not like you have a base rank or like a base level and all your characters scale to your level. It's essentially like if you play one round with like Wolverine, Captain America, Black Widow, and Thor, let's say we play one level with them, their level. Let's assume everyone starts level one. You start with this round with them. You start the game playing those four. They're probably going to be like level two or three by the end of that, but everyone else is still level one. So you have to kind of like cycle out heroes if you want to keep everyone consistent, which
Right.
after a certain point, it gets kind of tedious to grind them up.
It's
And
an
like,
RPG style, though.
I know, but my stupid brain can't go until like everyone that I like is all around the same level. So like, it got to a point where I was just grinding the same level over and over again just to get as
Hmm.
much experience for certain characters. So like,
Hmm.
I'm sure if I just committed to four or five heroes throughout the entire game, I would have liked it even more. But because there were so many characters that I did want to use, yet they kept falling behind, I just felt like I need to grind them up. And also,
Right.
the At one point, Thanos just straight up sends you to hell because why not?
Yes, of course.
And I got stuck on that level because even in co-op mode, it was so hard. Like just like random like fire pillars and like rocks falling everywhere, and like the enemies just seem to like scale up for no reason, and like you're stuck there, so you can't really grind anywhere else. Like it's just yeah, it was a lot of fun up to that point, and I'm gonna go back and beat it at some point. But right now, like because I'm stuck there, I can't put it any higher. But I really did enjoy what I played.
Yeah, it's all game. Yeah, and like, and I think it's okay. Like you haven't finished it because I feel like if you well, one, I have games on here I haven't completely
Yeah.
finished because some of these games are ridiculously long,
Uh,
and others it's like it's like I feel like as long as you get the grasp and the mainstay of the game, then that's all that really matters.
mm,
Plus, art, it's awesome.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on
All right, so
to
my number 20. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one out the way because I put 2K16, NBA 2K16.
okay.
I play a lot of sports games. They're not the funnest games, but I really like sports, so I just
Mm,
have to play sports games every now and then. And I put 16 because this is a lot of people in 2K me think this is like the last really good one. I
mm,
agree because since then they've kind of fallen off, similar to like Madden with football, with FIFA with soccer.
right.
But basically, this was the last one where it was like you actually, it actually made sense. You could actually play defense, and
Yeah.
like people didn't just teleport behind you,
Hmm.
basically. And it was just like it actually made sense when things happened. But yeah, this is the one I put the most time in, and in terms of like just playing with my friends, I had a lot of memories. Like my roommates are like, "Oh, you ain't got nothing." I just like dunked all over someone. And it's like you were saying,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, just good sports game. That's the only. I mean, that's the only really sports game that I have on my list, just because as far as quality, they don't rank up to other games. But
Mm.
I incorporate sports a lot into my gaming, so that's just what I do. But there's my game.
Okay, sounds good. My number 19 is a little game called Pokemon Rumble Blast.
Ooh,
Now, this is the first of many Pokemon games on this list,
oh, I
obviously.
know. I know.
And um, this game, so the Rumble Blast series of games, they're essentially a series of games where you play as Pokemon who are like little toy versions of them. So, like, for example, you start as like a little chibi wind up Pikachu, and like
Ooh.
you go through a level and you only really have two attacks, so like a fast and a heavy attack. And as you go through, you beat other Pokemon in an area, and you get coins. And if you beat them a certain way, you can then recruit other Pokemon to then like swap out as you go. And it's just a lot of fun, just like going through the different like areas. And before this game, the Pokemon Rumble games hadn't really had much of a story or any like real through line. It was just like, oh, go through different levels until you get to the very end, and then beat like I think the very end was like some big championship where you put your three best Pokemon like in a team, and then you just try to like be the last one to survive. This is the first
Mhm.
one that actually had like a little story going, and because they are little toys, they contextualize it by having it set in a toy shop where it's like the opening cutscene is like someone enters like first person enters his toy shop and like picks up a little Pikachu and like starts playing with them, and essentially this entire game is this person's like literally playing with all of these toys and like having this like big huge story about like this dark entity like coming over and like corrupting all these other different Pokemon, and you having to just it's just a lot of fun. um, and like once you get up to a certain point, you can start creating legendary Pokemon, and then that opens up a lot more. And then like in the in the post game, there are these other like challenge modes where you put your strongest Pokemon you've collected up to that point, which the legendaries come in very clutch at that in those rounds. Like it's just yeah, it's just a ton of fun. Yeah,
Solid.
it was one of those games where like it hasn't. there have been like two or three Rumble games since, and they haven't been even close to as good as this. So like, if they
Mm,
just made a Rumble Blast 2 or ported this to the Switch, I'd be happy.
right, like I swear, like, and I said this years ago, and I'm like, why don't people just like? There's all these like flopping new games, and or like they try to remake it, but then it completely butchers what the original one said for. It's like just take the same game, bring it up to date,
Yeah,
and it'll be great. You
yeah.
know, it's like,
You think?
yeah, it's like just recycle, man. Like I don't know, maybe they don't get as much money or what, but like, come on, man.
I
Like
don't know.
that's how you. I
Yeah.
don't know, but anyway, I okay. So my number 19 game is Injustice 2. Now
Mm.
I am not a fighting game guy per se, but even
Hmm.
I can get along with DC people beating the crap out of each other and basically Mortal Kombat, but
Yeah.
not.
Yes. Not
Because
quite as bloody.
thankfully
Yeah.
yeah, not yeah, no. Well, actually, because at first I was like, they're not gonna have like Batman getting his head ripped off or anything like that. Like I don't know if my little heart could take that. Apocalypse War was one thing, but I mean this would be ridiculous. So, but no, I mean it's a lot of fun, and actually one of the things that really surprised me is the story. Now at the
Mm.
time, especially when the second game came out, the story was kind of already set up and everything. Obviously evil Superman.
Yeah.
They're kind of more or less it's trying to take over the world and all that jazz. And it's actually not a bad story. Like it's actually pretty solid. I don't agree with all the choices, but like as far as just kind of it being its own thing, it's not that bad. It
Yeah.
kind of works. And as far as the game, it's a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Because I'm not a huge fighting game person, like at least like a one-on-one fighting game kind of person.
Mm.
But it's a lot of fun because just like playing with other people, learning different characters, and like the moves and and the special moves specifically are very clever a lot of times. Because
Uh.
like Batman, it makes like a nod to like the Danny Elfman Batman, or
Uh.
like there's like a Superman, or like he'll knock you like through buildings with his theme, or like a lot of
Mm.
characters they have like callbacks and other little like Easter eggs and stuff that if you know your comics you will enjoy a little bit more. So
Yeah.
it makes my list.
I think I like the story and just generally the character selection. Even though there's more characters in the sequel, I think I generally like how the overall game plays more in the first one.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do really like how Brainiac is like incorporated into the story. How they it's not just a rehash. Like it's still set in the Injustice universe, but it's not just a rehash of that story. Like there's new elements, like Supergirl being the main character. Like it's just it it is still a very, very solid game. I wish I had played it more, but I definitely did play Injustice 1 a lot more, but Injustice 2 is still very,
Mhm.
very, very solid.
Yeah.
Uh, my number 18, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So this is a relatively new game, came out at the end of November, and this game was touted as like the prequel to Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Like, you'll get to play as the four champions and Link and Zelda in their prime 100 years before the Great Calamity started or whatever. And it's kind of not that. Spoilers for all these games. Uh, so uh, the way this game works is that at the very beginning, this little robot like goes back in time to to the time that this game should have been set in anyway, and like because and like you do still play as Link, Zelda, Impa, and the four champions, a bunch of other characters as well. But because time travel's involved, they're able to change some things here and there to actually stop the Guardians from taking over completely and stop the four champions from getting killed when they should have. Uh, and I think overall, I think that does make for a stronger game. I think it would have been interesting to see a game set in this time period where the goal is to lose, but the way they have it done and like the way I haven't actually finished it yet, I'm pretty close to the end, but the way it is right now, the fact that you do get to play as the champions through most of the game, they did add essentially characters from the base Breath of the Wild time travel in, and you get to play as them as well. So like it's stupid, but it's kind of cool. And all the different weapon types. There's a ton of characters that you never would have thought to play with in that. Like you play Breath of the Wild and you never even considered, oh, I want to play as them. Like Calamity Ganon is a character you can play in this game because why not? You can just play as those big monsters because love it. And yeah, the basic combat is very, very solid. Uh, like it can get a little tedious and repetitive at times, but because there are so many characters, it's I haven't really felt the fatigue yet. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think like the only reason why it's not any higher is because I haven't beaten it yet.
Fair enough.
But it's not like a great game. I could easily see why people don't love it because the gameplay is very repetitive. It's just a bunch of YYX super move, YYX super move. Like it's just kind of that thing. But it's if you really like that gameplay style, give it a chance. It's very solid. Your move.
Okay. I move. Okay, cool. Okay, so for my number, what are we, 18
18.
now?
Mhm.
Okay, 18. This one's a little lame because it's not necessarily it's a mobile, but like I put Among Us on here just because I know it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's a game, but not a game. You know what I mean? But like because I like it is one of the more fun games I have played. Because for a long time, for the last couple of years, I have not played a game with other people outside of like 2 or 3 games
Uh,
at all, and it kind of just like it brought back the joys of multiplayer, like at least local multiplayer, because for a long time, it's like games you don't really play. A lot of games don't even have local multiplayer anymore. I think even
which
Call of Duty
sucks.
doesn't. Yeah,
That
right.
sucks.
Like that's what we started with. Like how have we completely like gone away from this original thing? Like this was like playing games on the couch in the in whatever room like. That was how it is, and now it's just kind of like, oh, whatever. So this game, granted, I know a lot of people even play online and all that stuff, but like
Hmm.
playing in a group with a group of friends in a room or something, like I don't know. I played that a couple of times with my friends, and
Hmm.
I had one of the best times I've ever had. And I usually hate these games because I'm a terrible liar. Like I am one of
Uh,
the worst liars. But as learning how the game works, you can learn how to craft and be better
hmm.
liars. And I'm very good at blaming other people because I'll notice other things. I was like, it's like, wait, was it? No, I was like, nah, I was over here. But you know who I did see over there? I
Hmm.
did see that Caleb over here was over there, and I was like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Caleb's like, yeah, I did. And then someone else jumps, I did see Caleb over here. He's like, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. And then they forget about me, and then Caleb's gone. I'm like, ah.
Uh,
But then the one person who accused me, I'm like, okay, I gotta kill them later,
yeah. Yeah.
and then I
Uh,
can strategically plan. No, it's a lot of fun. It really, it really did bring back that feeling of, okay, this is what playing with other people is supposed to feel like. Because like
hmm.
it it had been lost for a while. Because even like I think the new Call of Duty, I don't even think have
I don't
local
think so.
multiplayer anymore. Which is like that was like the local multiplayer game a few years ago. Like
Hmm.
that makes no sense. But we just turned into this isolated society where we play against people we've never seen before and never see them again. And it's just like, man, that sucks.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah, like it's just a ton of fun. I love the tabletop games that this game is really based on, like Werewolf
yeah,
and Mafia and stuff. So like a
exactly.
game version is great.
Oh, good. Yeah, I love it. I've always liked those kind of games. Like I have some friends who just I I haven't seen them lately, but I just know they're in love with this game because of the kind of games we used to play.
Uh,
Like they probably play this game daily. But yeah, that's my 18.
okay, my 17 is one that definitely seems pretty low, but again, all of these games are very close, especially after this point. They're all very close together.
Mm.
And number 17 is Super Mario Odyssey.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
I like the 3D Mario games. I don't adore them as much as most people. I honestly, personally, generally like the 2D Marios a little more,
Okay.
but I do still really like the feel of 3D Mario games. This game is still a ton of fun. Uh, I love the capture mechanic, being able to throw your hat on different enemies, different animals. A freaking T-Rex, because why not? Like the climax of this game is you like trying to escape like this like cave crashing around you you are Bowser, like you've captured Bowser. Because yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Like it. it is a ton of fun. I think the bosses they have, they're not they're fine. Like Mario is never known for having fantastic bosses, especially the 2D ones. Are never like it's just a bunch of Koopalings. Like it's never anything fancy. And these is just kind of more. It's not the Koopalings, but it's kind of similar. Where these the different rabbits that you kind of fight throughout the game, and you have to use different captures in order to like beat their different play styles. So like it is a lot of fun. It looks beautiful. The different worlds that you go to are great. It's not just water, ice, lava. There's like many different kinds of area. Like there's an entire forest level. There's like a city level. You go to the moon. There's a whole level dedicated the whole level that looks like the N64 hub world. Like that just is an entire world, and that's great. All the different costumes you can get throughout, like you can make them look like an N64 Mario at one point.
Mm,
Uh, and yeah, there's probably close to over 100 different like costumes you can have throughout the game. Um, like I said, I do really like it. I don't really have that much to really complain about it, but because it is a 3D Mario game, and I just don't love those as much as some other games on this list, it's only
fair
number
enough.
17, although that's still very high relative to most other games.
Considering how many games I play, it's like
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
your move.
Okay, now this was like a deep memory for this one. This one.
Mhm.
Okay, so for my 17, I have Sly Cooper Thieves in Time.
Ooh,
Now,
okay.
yeah, I know, right? This one. I haven't played this game in a while, but I kind of forgot about this game. This was a 2011 game, so this
Hmm.
was kind of on the back end. But I recently I forgot that like it was on PlayStation Now for a while, and I started playing it again, and I was like, dude, this game holds up really good. Because
Yeah.
originally I didn't have it, a friend of mine did,
Mm,
and I played it whenever I was with them. But not when it was on PlayStation Now and I had it, I was like, okay, I'll play this for a while. Went through it, of course, ran through it in like a week
yeah.
because that's what you do.
Uh,
But yeah, no, it's a really fun game. I've always liked the Sly Cooper games because it's very much like it's like a mix of other games. Like it kind of has like it's like a stealth, but also kind of like Spyro, but also kind of like Crash. It's a
mm,
very like it's got a couple hats in there, but it's a really fun game. And I just like the concept too. It's like you're a thief, but like not really, but
yeah.
kind of. It's like it's a lot of fun, and the idea of going to different areas to like you go to ancient Japan, you go to the old West, you go to caveman, like you go to a bunch of different
Mm,
areas. That's really cool, and you see the characters interact, and it's actually a pretty solid story. So
yeah.
that's a game I really enjoy, and one that I kind of want to play again now that I've thought about it.
Yeah.
So,
And who made that? Sucker Punch.
hmm,
After they made Ghost of Tsushima, I don't really see them going back to a cartoony game like that anytime soon. I would love if they
probably
did,
not.
but I don't know. It seems like they kind of moved on. That's a little disappointing. But
Yeah.
maybe
I mean,
someone else, maybe like some other studio, they'll just kind of allow to make Sly Cooper. Yeah.
yeah, no. There's not going to be another one. Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
thanks for the memories. And if they want to make like another like like remake expansion for the PS5 or something, I'd be
Yeah.
down for that.
Hmm.
But until then, I'll enjoy the ones we have.
Yeah. I mean, they're still making Ratchet and Clank games, so
Exactly. Which I'm like, what the heck?
like
I
yeah,
mean, not that I don't also like that, but
like Insomniac went from making Spider-Man, and now they're gonna make another Ratchet and Clank. Like I thought they would be doing other stuff, and now they're gonna still doing it. So cool.
if it ain't broke, right?
Yeah. My number 16 is another Mario game, Super Mario 3D World.
Okay.
Now this game, I think three. I think Super Mario Odyssey is a better game. I think it's more fleshed out. It's definitely longer. It definitely has a certain charm to it. It definitely is more creative overall. But I think 3D World is a more fun game. It essentially takes the best elements of all of the 2D games and 3D games and kind of puts them together. Uh, you're essentially playing a 3D Mario game, not necessarily on a 2D plane, but it's as if you were playing a 2D Mario game in 3D. That makes sense. Like you have the linear world and like there are shortcuts and stuff, but like you start and then you end on the flagpole. That's the level. And the power ups that you have, I think, are very well executed. The multiplayer, the local multiplayer, where you play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, and then Rosalina after you beat it. Like all of them play very differently and like very uniquely, and there's not one that necessarily better than the other. Except kind of Peach, who can just kind of float. She walks slower, but she can basically fly. So I don't know. It's maybe if you want to like essentially they all have very different play styles for how you want to play the game. Like Mario is obviously the more standard. Peach is if you want to like do a completionist run and like get all she gets all the like stamps and stars and stuff better. Toad is faster, than Luigi is essentially hard mode because he like slips around and like the way he jumps is different. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a ton of fun. Like you were saying with Among Us, like local multiplayer is something that I appreciate so much that Nintendo has continued to feel as important.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're porting 3D World to the Switch and adding a whole like extra expansion thing to it next month, I think. Like, yeah, I think it's just a lot of fun. The music is also very, very solid. The final boss is just great. Like for what the Wii U was, that final boss looked amazing. And yeah, it's just a ton of fun. I am really glad they're bringing it to Switch. Number 16.
All right, so 16, I have the Crash Insane trilogy, but mostly just mostly the third one, Warp, which is the third of the three. Which that one's my most favorite because you can play as Crash and Coco. The worlds are more fun. You get the jetpack level, which is awesome. But yeah, I really like how they made this one. It looks beautiful. It's very good. It's pretty much the same game, which is a great game, and then brought up to today's standards pretty much.
Yeah.
And and it even led to a new one, which is huge, like the new one, which I haven't played.
Okay.
I played it a little. A friend of mine has it. I played it. I only played like one level. It seems awesome, but again, I don't have played it enough to feel that I was worthy to put it on my list. But yeah, it looks really good. It's very fun, and just like I'm glad Crash is back, because for a while it's been a while. It really has been. So I'm excited that these remakes are leading to maybe we'll get a new Spyro game too.
I think that was also Insomniac, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like Sony owns them now. Like, but we are like just give them all the money and resources they can just to make every game for you. Why not?
Yeah, whatever it takes. Like I'm on board. I'll do it. But yeah, it's a really good game. There's 3 of them. It is. I will say this. It is way I was never the best. My brother was definitely a lot better than me at these Crash games. But man, I will tell you, they were not this hard. Usually when a game's hard as a kid, you grow up and then you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. This game is way harder than when I was 7 playing this game.
Yes.
I was dying all the time. You need the exact right jump, landing spot, or you get wrecked. There's so much timing to it. It's a sport, man. It's ridiculous. I've never sweated so much playing a video game as when the running levels where you've got the snowball or the giant polar bear or whatever coming after you and you can't see where you're going.
Yeah.
You just have to hope for that level, and the I think I forgot what it's called, but the one where it's the long bridge and at any point if you don't jump exactly right you will die. It's
hate that. Hate it.
Oh my gosh. It's all the anxiety I've ever had summed up into one level.
But at least they remastered all 3, so it's not if you get stuck there, you can move on to the next one and then go from there.
Exactly. Yeah. See, but of course, I have to beat it in order because it's not the same. So, gosh, but no, very good. So happy it came back, and it was a complete success because we got a new Crash game out of it, and I'm hoping that it leads to other games that can come back, leading to new games, and that's.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, my number 15 is Shovel Knight.
Hmm.
This game, like, it's essentially it essentially acts very similarly to a Mega Man game where you go
Okay.
through a 2D level in like pixel art style, and after you beat a boss, you then get their like
Mm.
special weapon type thing,
Yeah,
or at least
power
you,
up or whatever.
yeah. Uh, but just there's something so fun about like just you're this little knight with like he doesn't have a sword or an axe, he has a shovel. Like the shovel is his main weapon, and like he like he beats enemies by like bouncing off of them with the shovel and like like throwing dirt at them or like it's just for if you just like heard the concept of this game where it's a 2D side scroller where you play as a little blue knight with a shovel, it wouldn't sound that good, but like people wanted Shovel Knight in Smash. Like that should just tell you how special this game is. Like it, the different levels make you like they're not the hardest things ever, but they definitely feel fair in the challenge that they possess. Like essentially they require you to like bounce at a certain time or hit certain switches at a certain time and then like uh or just and the bosses are also just a ton of fun. The story is a 2D side scrolling story. Like it's not going to be
Mhm.
that special. Just save the princess at the end. But the thing that I think the base Shovel Knight game is a ton of fun. The music is fantastic. Like honestly, the main reason why this is higher than the Mario games is because I love the soundtrack so much. Um,
Nice.
but the thing that really put it over the edge, and I think the thing that made this game like a household classic, is because I think there are 8 or maybe even 10 bosses throughout the game. 4 of them got their own little expansion for this game.
Dang.
Yes, you could essentially replay the entire game, like all of the levels as as one of the bosses, and like they interact with the world completely different. They added a completely like they added a completely new mini game with one of them where it's like a card game type thing, and it's really well done and just so much effort was put into just the DLC of this game. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like I think it's on pretty much everything. Like I would if you ever see it on sale or something, I would highly recommend it.
Okay. Shovel Knight. I've never heard of that. Maybe that's just my like ignorance more than likely, but still, that's pretty awesome. It
Specifically,
sounds
Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. That's the one that has all the
okay.
DLC attached to it. I think it's like 20
Okay.
bucks, but it goes on sale
Okay.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's like the like revamped like all DLCs included.
Yeah,
Okay, go. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, all right, cool. Okay, we're on what, 15
15,
or
15.
14? 15. Okay. Okay, so my number 15 is Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist.
Okay.
Now, I am a super gigantic nerd, I know, but that's what we do here. I don't know how much I've told you this. Well, go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you
No,
saying?
I was just saying I love Yu-Gi-Oh, so go on.
You do? Did I not know this?
I think you did. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we haven't talked about this as much. Like I assume, but like no. Okay. So I am that guy. I am obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh. I have all like a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I
uh,
have like, and it's funny because originally my mom would never let us watch it
yeah, same,
because
same.
something about putting people's souls in cards. My mom was not big on.
They were just sent to
So
the Shadow Realm. They weren't dead. It's
right,
fine.
right, it's fine. Was that a little? Was that a child, mom? He's fine. He's
It's
fine. It's
fine.
just they're gonna get him back. It's fine. But anyway, I was older once I got into. My brother actually got me into Yu-Gi-Oh
Mm,
when we were older. But since then, yeah, like we've gotten the cards, and I've watched. The original anime definitely is the best one. And then, since then, it's kind of gone off hill. The second two are okay, but the last couple, I don't even look looking at.
Yeah,
But anyway,
I haven't touched them.
basically, this game has pretty much like most of the cards, you know, and I like it because it plays, you know, pretty much how it would play if the game, you know, it's the game. It's like it's not going to be as legit as like a locals tournament or anything like that, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can play online with other people and get wrecked because you will, because people are very crazy. Like I tried once, I got beaten like 3 turns, and I was just like, yo. But yeah, it's really fun, and I like how there's obviously the story mode, but it's actually a lot more in depth than I thought it was gonna be. It's not like super like, you know, there's no like, you know, walking around or anything like that. It's just, you know, dialogue. Okay, duel, but like, it's still a ton of fun. You get to see, like, you get to go against the original decks they had. So like, you know, you actually get to see, okay, this does make sense. Oh, they actually do have Egyptian god cards. Like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. And you get to use the decks too, so you can feel like whoever you want to feel like. And then you actually, and the thing I like about this is you actually get the cards. Like, you can actually have the card. Because a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh games I played before, you could like play against people who like had good cards, but you couldn't get them yourself. You had to just make your own ragtag deck out of whatever packs you could get. But here it's like, pretty much any card is available to you, which is awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, it makes me love it. I literally found this game like not even that long ago online, and I was just like, oh, I've heard about this. I never actually played it, and I was like, why have I not been playing this? But yeah, it's pretty great, and yeah, I love it. So there it is.
Okay. Yeah. How much was it?
It was only $20. It's on the PlayStation Store.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not bad. There's 2 versions. There's one that's $20 and there's one that's $40. But the one that's $40, it has a little bit of DLC, but most of it is from one of the newer series that kind of breaks the game anyway.
Okay.
So I was just like, no, because like, oh yeah, Link summoning. I'm like, no.
Link summoning is stupid.
No, pendulum summoning was already the worst. Link summoning just makes me hate everything. Even
Link summoning made pendulum summoning irrelevant, and like, why would you? Like Link summoning completely broke everything that you like. You could only, at least when it was first introduced, you could only special or like not special. You could only like either fusion, Xyz, or Link or pendulum summon one thing at a time, and it's like that's so limiting. Like,
right? But it's like, I don't know. Like I did like because like I remember like when I first heard pendulum summoning, I was like, so wait, you can just summon all those monsters at the same time.
Yes.
And then on your next turn, you can literally do it again if I wreck all your monsters. I'm like, that's so like.
Yeah.
Like I know you.
Up through Xyz summoning, like Synchro Fusion Ritual Xyz, I think that was pretty solid. Like.
Right.
After that, it just went a little off the rails.
Yes. Like so hard, and it's like. Because like I was like when like the first time like I was like playing someone. And a pendulum summon happened, I was just kind of like, you're one of those? Like, you know, like, I was like, visibly upset. Like, I was just like, oh, I just
want to have fun. This isn't fun.
No, it's really not fun. But it's like, if you don't play it, then, like, you're just irrelevant. So it's like, I have to join the cult or I can't play. It's like, oh, I hate it so much. But, oh, dude. What? Okay. Random. What? Did you ever play with certain decks or did you? Like,
I had... Throughout my time, I built a wind deck, a fire deck, a spellcaster / burn deck, a elemental heroes deck, a warrior deck. I got a booster pack that essentially built a what were they called? I can't think of what they were called. They were like, it was like some like zombie attribute deck. Sorry, zombie archetype deck. I can't think what they were called, but yeah, it was like 40 cards that just like, it was a booster pack of just like 40 cards that's like worked well enough together. You didn't have to add much to it.
Right, it kind of was pretty much set. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I still have them. The problem is throughout my time, I didn't really collect enough spell or trap cards to like consistently use them. I have to like switch them between each other.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's like, you know, I take my one Mirror Force and just put in whatever deck I'm using or whatever. Like, you know, you never leave the tournaments without it, man. You never know. But Yeah, no, I had a Gravekeeper's deck. That's probably my favorite. That was my first one. That I was like, oh, this is it's actually pretty good. So I was like, oh, cool. And then you go to locals and then you get wrecked, and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna play by myself.
Yeah.
You guys suck. But then no, and like yeah, I had one of those as a Blue Eyes deck,
Mm.
and I was so proud. I only had one Blue Eyes, so I was so proud of it. 'Cause I thought I was the man. And then I found it online. They're like 2 cents, and I'm like, oh,
Nope.
never mind.
Yeah. Uh,
But
yeah.
like.
Blue Eyes
Oh.
has gotten some support recently that
See,
made
I know, I
it's
know,
great.
I know. It makes me happy because
Yeah.
for the longest time it was like, oh, your monster's cool, but it can't get nothing. But like, even like between the synchro support monsters, which are in the game, which are
Yeah.
awesome,
Nice.
it's like, okay, I can just bring them all back. How do you feel? It's like that one, and also I use the like Heretic Sun Dragon or something. I can just
Oh.
like wreck everything. It's like I'll just empty my hand and just your field's empty, so I
Uh,
can just have fun with that. But yeah, but anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh is great. We could go on for hours, I'm sure.
it is
But
great. Yeah.
we'll move right along, I'm sure. Oh, I love it.
Okay. So, my number 14 is a game called The Wonderful 101.
Interesting.
So, let me think the best way to explain this. I've never looked at a game trailer and thought, this game was made for me. Like, this game was
Oh
made
wow,
specifically for me before this
this
game.
is your 14.
Yes.
I love it.
Again, all these games are fantastic. Like, they're
This is true. True.
like, this game is about, like, so essentially combine Power Rangers, mecha anime, just
Oh,
anime
this
in
is great.
general, like kind of Pikmin,
Wow.
like just like all wrapped up in like the trademark Platinum Games action game flourish that just you're essentially playing as the this group of heroes called the Wonderful 100. The extra one is you playing. It's kind of dumb, but I like it. And you you're playing as these heroes who, depending on who you have kind of in the front of your party, you can create different weapons. Like the red guy creates a big sword. The red guy creates a big fist. The blue guy creates a sword. Green one creates a gun. Pink is a whip. White is like big claws. And oh, I forgot to say superheroes. Obviously, like the superheroes has a big aspect in this too. When I said Power Rangers, I kind of put
I
those
kind
together.
of sold it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you get it, you get it. And then
Colorful people. Yeah,
yeah,
good.
and the
Excuse me.
yellow is a hammer, black is a bomb. And the way they create these weapons is by uh, you essentially recruit people, either random civilians or people who were a part of your like 100 squad. Kind of as you go, you keep collecting more and more people, and you get just this huge just pack of people falling behind you, and you essentially use them to form your weapons. So
Ooh.
on the Wii U gamepad, you would literally like draw a gun shape on the gamepad, and like it would make a big gun, or like draw a big line and create a big sword, and you just start like swinging it around. And then you can like chain attack together by like swinging your sword, drawing a gun, shooting, drawing a hammer, and then like coming down on them. It was a
That's
lot of
awesome.
fun.
Wait, okay, what is this again?
The Wonderful
What is this
101.
game?
It recently got
Okay.
ported to the Switch and PS4 and Xbox as well. So you could buy it if you wanted it.
Oh.
Yeah. Um,
Okay, no, this actually sounds. Ooh.
and yeah, like you're playing as this group of heroes who's trying to stop this alien invasion. Uh, and as you're going, there's other alien who's not actually associated with this alien invasion, who's just kind of here, who like is essentially the evil version of you. Like he literally has like purple versions of your weapons, and like as you progress through the game, it seems like he also gets stronger. So like by the end, like the second to last big boss in the game is you fighting like a supercharged version of him. You're both
Hmm.
like you know throwing out your like huge hammers and just other just craziness.
Crazy
Uh,
stuff.
yeah, just it's and like it just escalates to no end. Like literally, you think you beat the final boss. Like you think you beat the final big bad who's on Earth, like as big like a building. You literally like are inside this huge building, like boxing this other huge monster, and you finally beat it. And then this other huge spaceship shows up. So then you like fly up and into space and like take them out. And at the very end, like every single character or like entity that you've met throughout the entire game, like shows up behind you and shoots this big laser out, while the big other monster like shoots out this big laser and like they clash and like you have to literally break your hand just to mash the A button fast enough to like hit them back and just it's great. Like I don't think I spoiled in like if you're playing this game and you didn't expect that to be the end, like it's and like
You're doing it wrong.
yeah, you're doing it wrong. And like the bosses throughout are just a ton of fun. The different characters in your little troop are all very unique and very uh, just very funny. This is a very funny game. Um, yeah, if you like superheroes or anime or Power Rangers or mech, just if you like any one of those things, this is all of it together. And just even just like playing it on the easiest setting, I think you would still get a lot out of it. So I would highly recommend it. Like more people need to play this game. So,
Fair enough. All right. Okay.
mhm.
14, right? 14. I'm sorry. I didn't put
That's fine.
numbers on my list.
That's fine. Yes, 14.
Okay, 14. Okay, so my number 14 is going to be Crash Nitro Field. Now, this is the remake of the racing Crash game,
Mhm.
which I love racing games. I really do. For some reason I'm good at them. I did not think I would be, but I am. So I really like this game because it was a pretty simple game, but it had a really interesting mechanic of basically power sliding. It's kind of like drifting in Mario Kart, but it's more like you have to do it more basically the entire time. Like it's like they come in threes. You have to do it pretty much in every turn, or you will get completely passed by everyone. And it's really fun. And it's really fun because like they have all the maps from the original game and the subsequent Nitro, other two games that came out on PS2. And it's really good. That again, it updates the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
But again, with these Crash games, the hard mode is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How hard it is. Like I'm not I'm not gonna be online I'm gonna put on YouTube like fastest time ever. But I'm pretty good. Like I'm pretty good at the game. I would beat most actual people I would play. But man, like if you're not going 100 miles an hour the entire race, you will get laps. Not even kidding. And that's assuming you don't get hit like right away, which you will. I have perfected some dodging mechanics, but it will not matter. Like it's ridiculous. They will literally stop, drop something right in front of you. You have no way to dodge. It's just like and then of course you hit it, bounce, fall off, 8th place, and then everyone laps you.
Great.
But it's a lot of fun. It's a very simple game, but it's a lot of fun to play, and it's really enjoyable. It's kind of relaxing too, because it's just kind of. I enjoy it a lot. Me and my brother. This is one of the games me and my brother really played together because for a long time, that was like growing up, and like that's just what we. Even now, we're just really like have a pastime. It's like, hey, you want to just race for a little bit? I'm like, yeah,
Great.
So I love it. Great game. Forgot it right here actually.
Nice.
But yeah, it's definitely a winner from me. Definitely a winner.
Oh yeah, and there's a very high chance that because that game did very well, they could make a sequel.
Mm-hmm. They better. I would be insulted if they did.
So my number 13 is Doom Eternal. So let me just tell you how much I love this game. I watched my roommate play through this game, and it's this high on my list. I I played Doom 2016. I loved that game. Just playing as this character whose sole purpose is to kill things just feels so satisfying. And the game knows that you're playing this game and you want to feel as awesome as possible. So the most enemies aren't really that hard to take out, and the enemies that are kind of hard, like the way you take them out, just make you feel really cool. Like in Doom Eternal, they added a thing where like the bigger enemies, as you shoot them, like chunks of them kind of like fly off and like they get weaker. Then you can just finally kill them. So that's fantastic. Um, I had a couple of like kind of minor complaints about the first game. I felt it ended a little too soon. I felt like the story was not interesting enough to really get me invested in what was actually happening. So then when the story actually finally came to a conclusion, I was like, oh, I thought there was more. That was it. The final boss didn't really feel that final. And
Mm.
also, if you fell off the world, because there's a little too much platforming in this game. So like if you missed a jump and fell, you just died. Like you had to start like from back from the checkpoint. Doom Eternal kind of fixed all of that. Essentially, if you fall off, you just lose little bit of health and just go back up on the ledge. They made
Mm.
you feel even cooler with they added this grappling hook onto your shotgun where
Ooh.
like uh, you can like jump grapple onto certain places and like making parkour a little easier, but also you can grapple onto an enemy, go to it, and like punch it in the sky and it explodes. It's great. Or like you can draw enemies towards you with it. It's they added these other little like enhancements to your suit, like a knife that you can cut people, like a flamethrower or a little like grenade launcher, um, and it's just a ton of fun. The story is a little takes a little more of a back seat, which I think is nice. Like there still clearly is a story. Um, you get these little like codex that you can read that
Mm.
kind of give a little synopsis of generally what's happening. But if you want to just walk through this game and just be the Doom guy, just shooting stuff left and right, and just like if you want to role play as the Doom guy, because in Doom 2016 you wake up and you're like strapped to this like this bed thing, and there's like some zombies around you. You like break out, start shooting them, and then this like text screen comes up and it starts like explaining where you are, what's happening. You can literally press the X button and just like take the screen and just like throw it to the side and keep going. It's like Doom Guy doesn't care about the story. Just go. So they kind of do that even more in this game. Uh, the weapon upgrades are all fantastic. Like by the end of this, like every single weapon feels just so satisfying to use. The small enemies just get taken out with one little shot. The bigger enemies feel like a cakewalk by the end of it, and the final boss is just this huge, just giant monster that like. And of course, while you're fighting it, there's other bigger monsters also around that at this point you can take them out pretty easily, but like it's just this is what I meant where the first one didn't really feel climactic. It was just this big spider thing with like this lady's face on it, who's like apparently the villain. She's like doing some experiments or something. But this game, you're taking on this titan while other demons are around, and it's great. You just feel so satisfying taking on monsters, and it's great.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah.
It's a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. All right. Okay. So
13.
for me, I have Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Now, I know this is a little low for this is a little like higher than or I guess higher or lower depending on how you look at it. Not as
Lower.
high
Yeah.
ranked,
Yeah.
yeah, as it could be for mainly for two reasons.
Mm.
One, I honestly haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
Because honestly, I haven't finished it because it looks awesome, it feels awesome, but also I have like really, for those who don't know, I have really bad arachnophobia, so I can't do Kashyyyk. I just
Oh no.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I hate it because my best friend he told me he was like, dude, I know you're really excited about this game, but like, and you can't really skip it, so it's like,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of. So I've watched the rest of the game. I know how it goes. The ending's amazing. It's really good, and like I love the Darth Vader stuff. But yeah, I couldn't get past it. And like there's a
Mm,
lot of just like a lot of creatures that I just can't do. Like I can run through stormtroopers for a living. I love it.
yeah.
But like creatures, especially of like the spider type, it just I can't do it. It
Mm.
freaks me out. I'm a weenie. I know this. I've been told. I understand. 100%. I'm sure it's
Uh,
amazing, but I couldn't do it. And yeah, so basically, yeah, it's a really fun game. And like one of my biggest qualities for like a adventure action game is do I feel like the person I'm playing when I play this game? Do I
mm,
like and for this is like do I feel like a Jedi or Sith or whatever when I'm playing this game? And you really do. I
mm.
mean, you really do. Granted, it's like it's such a cool feeling, like because like when you ignite your lightsaber, the controller vibrates. It
Oh,
almost feels
yeah.
warm. It's like this is crazy. You
Uh,
can deflect things easily, and like it is hard though. It's a lot harder than you think it would be. Like
mm,
it's very kind of. I haven't played Dark Souls, but I've heard a lot of people
yeah,
say it's very Dark Souls esque. It's
yeah.
like it's a
It's
gritty, tough, like
mm,
fighting sword game. You have to be smart about your moves. Parrying is your friend. You will get wrecked if you don't.
yeah.
Like a lot of unblockable moves. It's a very cool game. I love the idea. I'm really excited for a sequel. One hopefully without spiders, but I
Mm,
like it in a lot of ways, and it's a really great game. And it does something that I kind of miss because like different than like the Force Unleashed, which I don't know if you've ever played those back in the day.
I've seen gameplay of it. Yeah,
Yeah, though, like that was fun, but it got like too broken very quickly.
yeah.
Like you could just pretty much do whatever, and it's like I get it, like it's cool, but like come on, man, like that feels. I don't feel. It doesn't feel like it's really earning anything. I'm just kind of like throwing star destroyers down left and right. And it's just like, oh come on,
Yeah.
like really, like no one's that good.
uh,
But yeah, I really like. But I like this. I like that they're bringing it because honestly, I was thinking for a while, like, why aren't they doing this? Like, Star Wars is, Star Wars. Everyone wants to be a Jedi at least once in their life. I'm
mm,
like, or they can make like a Darth Vader game, or who knows? Like, there's so many things they could do. Like,
yeah. And at
so I'm
least
really
they,
glad they did this.
yeah. And I'm glad that they finally made a good Star Wars game in the modern era. Like Battlefront 2 has gotten better, but it's still not as good as we want it to be. This is like the first game I can call this is a good Star Wars game. Like, yeah,
Exactly, and hopefully that kind of starts a new trend. But
yes,
yeah, really good game. I like it. I love the aspects of it, and it was a lot of fun to do. It was a
yeah,
lot of fun to play for the limited experience. But hey, still fun. I mean, even just customizing your lightsaber. Granted, it's very limited, but it still feels like your stuff.
mm,
Like the only thing I would recommend is if I could make my own character, this game would be 10 out of 10 for
yes,
sure.
yes. Because Cal Kestis is not a very interesting protagonist.
Not really, no. Like he's kind of just bland and okay, and I mean he looks like the guy. I know he's the guy, one of the guys from Shameless, which I'm not saying that he's a bad actor or anything, but it's like having my brother loves that show, so seeing it a lot, I kind of see the character. I'm like, okay, now I can't focus
Yeah,
because it looks very much like a real live actor that I know because it's based on him. But
uh,
anyway, but yeah, if there was character customization, it'd be amazing.
absolutely. So my number 12 is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Nice.
Again, this it is this high on the list because the music is fantastic. It's a great game otherwise, but the music is just so good. There's a level where it's like a savannah level, and it literally sounds like something out of The Lion King. It just like they got the vibes of that perfectly. Uh, but like outside of just the music, the platforming is so solid. Like every single time you jump, like it, this is gonna sound weird because it sounds a little obvious, but just roll with me. Every single time you jump, it feels like you land exactly where you were supposed to. You know how,
Hmm.
like some games, like you jump and it feels like you didn't quite make it for some reason, or like you land but you still kind of slide off, or like just something felt weird and like you felt like it wasn't even your fault. In this game, every single time you mess up, it is your fault. The the controls are that tight. Um,
Hmm.
the different like partners, Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and Cranky Kong, all feel very unique and very like Dixie Kong is the best one because she's basically Diddy Kong, but like you can have like a little like she hovers, but she has like a little like you like go up a little bit as you float, whereas Diddy Kong just kind of like glides. Um, and then Cranky Kong lets essentially it's one of those things where they only added him in order to get around areas that only exist because he exists. Like he lets you bounce on spiky platforms and like spiky areas, but those
Hmm.
spiky areas don't exist because he's in the game, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's still just a ton of fun, just like bounce off enemies and stuff and get higher like that. Um, the story is very simple, but it's a platformer, so you don't expect much. Uh, the bosses are all very fun to fight. I didn't beat it because I got stuck on the water level, but like
Uh,
the boss, is one of those things where like I could see how to beat the boss, but because you're on a time limit, because you're underwater, like you need to keep like collecting air bubbles in order to stay underwater. I just couldn't beat it fast enough, and I just kind of dropped it to come back later, and later never happened. But like I love Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, and this is just a all around upgraded version of that. It looks prettier. It just plays even tighter. The music is even better. Just yeah, just I really like it.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah, your move.
All right. All right. My turn. All right. I have this is 12 or 11. Dude, I'm sorry. I need to
Oh,
number
that's
things
fine.
better. I,
We're on
I,
12. We're on 12.
okay, 12. That's what. Okay. Okay. So my number 12, I have Assassin's Creed 2.
Two.
Now this
Okay.
one, this is the one where it this is pretty much kind of more or less. There is the original Assassin's Creed, obviously, but this is kind of more or less how I got introduced to the
Yeah.
game as a whole.
Yeah.
Basically, you're a guy. It's a. I'll admit the storyline makes kind of no sense. I'm not gonna lie, but the premise is you're a guy who basically goes through his ancestors' memories in
Hmm.
different areas in time, which is pretty cool. So basically, in this game, you're in like the Renaissance in
Hmm.
Italy, basically,
Okay.
and it's pretty awesome because you're a part of a secret organization that you know more or less directs how history goes, and it's cool
Yeah.
because like you have to like there's like two separate like Illuminati-esque groups and they
Hmm.
have to pretty much kill each other to
Yeah.
have history go the way they want to. It's awesome. And what I really like about this game is it's very simple, but the story's really good. It's
Hmm.
very like it has a good pacing to it. You meet a lot of likable characters, and although it's not like I know there's a lot of mechanics that have been added to the Assassin's Creed series over the years,
Yeah.
it's still very good. And it also like it's kind of like how like you the first Batman game. It's like there aren't as many things, but it's still very good for different reasons.
Yeah.
Is that and it's like and I like it that way, and the likable characters, and yeah, just the ability to jump off a cliff, literally on the way down, land on two people, kill them both, and hide in the bushes, and no one sees you is the most satisfying thing
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
And everyone just looks around like there's dead bodies. You're just like, oh, I have no idea what happened. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Uh,
And it's so like it's really satisfying. The combat's simple but really good, and it's just I really liked the game. It kept me excited the whole time, and it wasn't one of those games that I felt like the side stuff was like distracting. The side stuff like really helped with
hmm.
this because you need to get these side missions to get this armor or get this weapon or whatever, and then by the time you get to the end, it's like if you don't have it, I mean, you didn't really need it because the game's pretty easy,
Yeah.
but you feel like a boss if you do have it. So
Absolutely.
very good game, a lot of fun, and yeah, I should have got on these games sooner.
Oh yeah, and most people agree that Assassin's Creed 2 was at least one of the best ones. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm. So my number 11 is Kirby's Return to Dreamland.
Nice.
This is the Kirby game that was on the Wii. Kirby is a franchise that like even the bad Kirby games are still a lot of fun. They're still very charming, very cute. But this Kirby game, I think personally is I don't know if it's necessarily the best one, but it's definitely the favorite one that I've ever played. It I think the art style for somehow the what they did to make it look this good on the Wii, like I see gameplay of it being played now, and I'm like, that looks like a Switch game. Like the way just the world looks, it just looks like I don't know how much better it could be by making it HD. It just looks great. The music is fantastic. The different bosses are great. The new power ups are really good. The story, though pretty basic, it is still a Kirby game. So like I don't know how much you know about Kirby, but every single Kirby game, it ends with like some world-ending threat. Every single game ends with Kirby taking out like a Dragon Ball Z level villain. Like it's fantastic. The main story of this game is that this guy named Magalore like shows up at your planet seeking help because his world was taken over by this dragon guy, and you you go throughout Dreamland collecting like pieces for his ship for then to then allow you and him to go to the other dimension and take out the dragon. So after that, you take out the dragon, but it turns out that Magalore was actually the one who was trying to like antagonize the dragon, and he needed your help to take him out because Magalore wanted the crown that the dragon had, and when Magalore put on the crown, he like turned into this big demon monster thing and like banished you. So then you had to like travel back and then take him out. That's great. And then like after you take him out, then like the crown has its own like evil demon form as well. So like sure, why not? And the main hook, the main gimmick of this game is there are different like super upgraded versions of different weapons. Like there's like this giant sword that you just swing and take out everything. There's a huge hammer, like a giant version of the like magic attack. There's like various different like you know giant versions of like maxed out versions of different abilities. And I love it when games do this. By at the very last level,
Hmm.
the the last level is you get the big sword at like the midpoint of it, and um, as you go, the rest of the enemies you fight are all mini bosses that you fought throughout the rest of the game. So you have your sword and you're fighting mini bosses. Like mini bosses aren't hard, but they still like have a health bar and they're still like they're still like you don't beat them in one shot. You beat these guys in one
Right.
shot with your sword, just like
You have to
constantly.
kind of pay attention.
Yeah, but here, like this big guy in a suit of armor, one shot, one just you're just going through the rest of this level, just tearing up everything with your giant sword, and I love that feeling. Um, and not only can you play as Kirby, you can also play as Wild D with a spear, Meta Knight, or King Dedede, and then if you have two or more people over, you can play with any combination of those. It's just a ton of fun. I think Kirby games since haven't been nearly as good. There's some just something about I can't really tell you exactly what it is about this game that makes it feel better. It just the moves just feel more satisfying to use. The world just feels better to explore. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I think this is absolutely the best Kirby game I've played at least this decade. So
Nice.
yeah,
Fair enough.
number 11.
Okay. All right. My number 11 is actually Batman Return to Arkham Asylum. Now, this was originally released at a Game-Wise. It was the original two, Asylum and the City,
Oh,
were like, they're their own games, and they're remastered and brought to the PS4, basically.
really?
But
This
they're
is
still
only
their own separate games. So
Arkham
I'm
City.
kind of cheating, I know.
So
Sorry, bud.
are you saying just Arkham Asylum or Arkham or both?
No, just Arkham Asylum.
Okay, that explains it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know they're two different games
Yeah.
put together on the PS4, obviously, because I think Arkham Asylum originally came out like 2009.
9. Yeah.
So I had to, like,
I would
so
have
I had to
allowed
like,
it.
yeah, I know, but I didn't want, the official, But
Yeah.
anyway, because I don't even think I even played the original Arkham Asylum. I think I didn't play it till the remake came out anyway. So I think I started with Arkham City anyway. But anyway, the point is, basically, so yeah, it's the longest night of Batman's life. It's awesome. You feel like Batman for pretty much the whole thing. It's very something that people don't talk about with these games. Everyone talks about the combat. Everybody talks about the stealth. Everyone talks about how there's always the Joker, which I agree was kind of, by the end of it, was like, okay, get enough already.
Yeah.
But what they don't talk about, there's a lot of detective stuff in these games, which I feel like that's Batman's like most missed out on character trait just in general with media in general, because it's like, he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, so you have to figure out, okay, who's behind what, who's doing this, what's doing that. Obviously, okay, the Joker's behind it, obviously, but how is he doing it? What does he plan? What's this? How is he getting these basically mutant things to come after me? There's the Scarecrow missions alone could be their own game. They're like, they're so creepy, but they're so good. And there's so much creepy stuff in the game, but it's not like creepy, like actually scary. It's just creepy, like eerie creepy. And I really appreciate those kind of. This is definitely a Halloween game. Like like creepy stuff going on, and it's really good because again, the boss fights don't feel like some games. They have a tendency when you're a certain character, the boss fights feel either really hard or like just kind of lame. But they're interesting because they're very different kind of boss fights, more or less. Like some of them are more about projectiles, some are more about just don't get caught, some are more about, I don't know. Aside from the final boss, which is pretty much decided that the whole Joker thing is lame, but aside from that, it's very good. And this was a solid game. It was a solid first installment, and it's like between like watching Batman growing up and playing these games, it really like, Batman is awesome.
Yes.
Like if you didn't already know, but. Yeah, that's my slight rant there.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're going to be talking about Batman a couple more times.
What makes you say that? What? Never. No.
So we're moving into the top 10. My number 10 is Mario Kart 8.
Nice.
I'm not going to spend much time on this. You've all played Mario Kart 8. You know it's great. I think that's all I need to say. It's Mario Kart on the Wii U / on the Switch now. Online multiplayer, the maps are great, the characters are great. Moving on. you know this.
Yeah. I might be one of the only people who likes the Wii version better just because I'm better at the Wii version.
That's fair, yeah.
I'm so bad at the newer version. So bad. Oh, man.
So, yeah, go ahead and you're at number 10.
Okay, yeah. That's fine. Okay, top 10. Now it's time to get fun. Okay, so my number 10, I actually have SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Nice.
I enjoyed this game growing up, and when I heard this game came back, I was hyped. I bought this game. I got, out of the possible 100 golden spatulas, I think it was 73 in the first, 2 days of buying this game. I pretty much I ran through this game. Because I remember how, it was one of those, it's like one of those mindless fun games. It's actually, unlike a lot of other times when you have some, a funny show and they have some other media when the jokes just aren't funny.
Yes.
This one, there actually are some decent jokes in this one. There's, everyone's pretty much in it. You're SpongeBob, Patrick, or Sandy. You run through a pretty, I'd say for the time, pretty, well thought out levels. And they were kind of linear, but not, super linear, really. They were pretty spread out, more or less. And, a lot of fun, different enemies, and it was just interesting, because, it's a pretty standard, platform and stuff, but the way there's different platformings for different characters, it kept you guessing enough to kind of keep you on your toes. But, I loved this game growing up, and I was like, we're going to run through this game. And it was... My brother was like, "Oh, so how you start on the good Jesus, dude?" He was just like, I was like, "Hey."
It's
Like,
fine.
you
It's
can
fine.
make your own file, okay? Like, it's fine. We were supposed to play it together, but
Uh,
I mean,
yeah, the
he was
perfect,
working all weekend. I was not.
yeah, perfect example of a company taking an old game and just making it new and being like, play this old game again, and you'll love it. And we did. So
And we
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Why is that so
I don't
hard
know.
for companies to understand? It's like just do it again. I mean,
I don't know.
but it is what it is.
Yeah. My number 9 is Metroid Samus Returns.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I've told you this before, but the 2D Metroid games are some of my all-time favorite games. Period. Like I know Metroid
Hmm.
Fusion and Super Metroid are fantastic. And we haven't had a 2D Metroid game since I think 2004. I think since Metroid Fusion, or either Fusion or Zero Mission on the Game Boy. Uh, so when I heard that they were making a new 2D Metroid game on the 3DS, it was a remake to Metroid 2 that was on the original Game Boy. Uh, I just knew that this was going to be something special, and it was. Like just exploring this whole world, like taking out Metroids, like systematically throughout, upgrading your armor, upgrading your abilities, fighting other monsters, other bosses. The final boss is a Meta Ridley because this game technically takes place, I think, after Metroid Prime, so he's still Meta Ridley, or right before. She's right before, right after, so he's still Meta Ridley. Like I think that's great. Um, yeah, like it can get a little repetitive since there are 40 Metroids throughout the game to take
Really?
out. Yes, there are
I did
40
not
of
know
these
there was
things.
that many.
Yeah, uh, and like the goal of this game is to wipe them out completely. But I feel like you could have not had 10 of them, just because like there's essentially like 3 or 4 different tiers of like Metroid bosses. There's like the base Metroid, then like an upgraded version of that that's more like bug like, and then there's one that's more uh, like that looks more like a reptile, I think. And then there's like the Queen Metroid, which is like this huge dinosaur looking thing. So they could have taken out probably 10 or more of the like first level because you fight a bunch of the first tier Metroids. You didn't need many of those. But outside of that, just like the progression system is just so nice. The upgrade system is so nice. Uh, the puzzle elements like using your different weapons to get to certain areas, like using your like beam thing, like essentially Samus's grab from Smash, something like that, like uh, blue beam thing that like can grab people. Using that to get to certain areas, freezing enemies to jump on top of them to get up. Like, yeah, it's just a ton of fun. And again, I really wish that they would either port this to the Switch or have these people make another Metroid game on the Switch. I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah. Because I think that's one of those properties that honestly doesn't get as much love as it should.
Yeah.
Because like you, I think there's a lot of people that do love Metroid, but other than every once in a blue moon, they don't. They can't. It's like it feels like they're kind of like the same 4 or 5 games are kind of getting their shine, and the other games are kind of getting swept
Mhm.
under the rug. So
I like
they've got
Mario and Zelda, but I want Metroid as well.
right.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, hey, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
hey, moving right along. All right. So my number 9, we're on 9, right?
Yes.
I can count nice. Okay. My number 9 is Grand Theft Auto 5. Now
Nice.
I know that this game. If you played any of the Grand Theft Auto games, you already know exactly why everyone loves this
Uh,
game. Yeah, I mean, it's very good because this one, for me at least, this one had definitely the most appealing story by a large margin. At least for me, it was very interesting.
mhm.
I didn't feel like I was just kind of doing stuff just to do stuff. That kind of actually felt like some of the missions, yeah, they were kind of weird, but like the overall story felt really good. The gameplay is a lot of fun. I mean, this game's still getting updates like today,
Yep.
which is wild. And like, it's a lot of fun to play, and it's one of those games that, of course, I got into late because, again, my parents, like this is like the notoriously don't buy your kids this game.
Yes.
So I had to basically be grown up before I bought this game myself. But yeah, once I got into it, like it was pretty, like these games are really fun. It's like I don't know. It's just so
It's fun.
it's a very simple game. I can do whatever I want. If I want to go and get a helicopter and do whatever, or I want to take on the entire police, or even like. But it's so much fun because like the NPCs in this game, unlike a lot of other games like this, are actually respond a lot better. In a lot of games you just like run up to people, they just kind of like stand there, sometimes even go through them. But here, I mean, they can literally fight you and kill you. Like it will go down very quickly, especially if you're in the wrong area of town. Like you run up to somebody, they will shoot you straight up, no questions asked. Like, you have to be on it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Everyone enjoys these games. There's a lot of fun. There's, because you can go you can collect cars, you can collect guns, you can do whatever you want, basically. It's a lot of fun. It's a great pastime game.
Yeah. And it's getting remastered again for the PS4 and PS5 and Xbox Series X. So,
they could have just made GTA 6, but if it ain't
yeah. Same with Mario Kart 8. They're not going to make Mario Kart 9 anytime soon. This one makes too much money. Already, yeah. There's no need for it. So, my next entry, number 8, starts the Pokemon chunk. My next several are going to be Pokemon games.
I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming. I was like, you only mentioned, what, 1 or 2 Pokemon games this whole time?
I only had one, actually.
Where are they at?
Yeah, here they are.
I was like, where are they at?
So, my number 8 is Pokemon Go.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, the fact that I'm still playing Pokemon Go after 4.5 years tells you something. Like, the fact that they keep kind of incrementally, adding to the Pokedex in the game, having special events like every other weekend, just making it easier to hatch eggs and get stuff with the game off is just great. And like it's not even that big of a commitment. Like, you just pop it open every couple of, like, once or twice a day, just catch something. Like, there are certain days, like if there is a special event, you actually have it on all day, just going around town with some friends, just like, battling raid bosses and catching Pokemon. Like that can be a lot of fun, but also be fun just sitting at home, just not thinking much about it. Like, oh, let's see what's here. Oh, that's cool. Catch that and then put it down. Like it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like and it brings more to moving, and just like moving around and being out there, seeing what's out there, traveling place. And like I remember, because it was like right before we started school, this game came out, right?
Yes, back in June or July of 2016.
Yeah, and that's literally how I met a bunch of my friends freshman year. It was just like, oh hey, you guys are Pokestop too, like naturally, like, and like seeing all the people on the bus playing, you're just like, oh wait, slow down, crap, like, oh man, dude, like it was, what an era, man. I missed it. That was something, man.
And the fact that, like, I know it's not, like, in the zeitgeist anymore, but people still play the mess out of this game. It still makes them a literal ton of money. Like,
they do. I remember I thought it wasn't on. Then I was like, are people still playing this game? A lot of people are still playing this game, believe me.
It's fun, yeah. Moving on to your number 8.
All right, so my number 8, it doesn't necessarily start a chunk, but it is a series you may or may not have heard me talking about once or twice. So, okay, so I have Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix on here. This one basically is the first game remastered with some of the other ones.
Yes.
But it's mainly for the first game because Kingdom Hearts is, a game of me and my brother play these games since we were kids. Like, we love these games. It's so much fun. And, yeah, it's basically, it just takes the game, ups the graphics, adds everything new that you didn't know you wanted, but now you do. And it's like, have fun. And I'm like, I will. And it's great because you get to, you just enjoy the levels. It's so much fun. And the thing about Kingdom Hearts 1 is that one is a lot more like adventure puzzle based,
Uh,
and Kingdom Hearts 2 is more like action and like fighting based. Because in Kingdom Hearts 1, like there's a lot of things that you just like one, the map, like you don't really have maps at all.
yeah.
Pretty much you kind of just, hey, go find this place. Or don't, and just
Mhm.
never finish the game. And it's just kind of like you have to find stuff everywhere. Like Alice in Wonderland is like the first level.
Huh.
And you have no idea, like you will, like I almost didn't know where I was going. Like I was like
Huh.
playing the game before I got lost, and I was just
Mm.
like, this is bad. So it's a it's a great game. It's a lot of fun, and the boss battles are as advertised. Like they are still really hard, and you need to be on it because you will get wrecked, especially
Uh,
if you put it on. I don't think the first one has a critical mode, but still, proud mode's still pretty. You get what you ask for,
yeah.
and of course, Donald and Goofy are just meat shields. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I really love it, and just like yeah, the story's really good, and you like the characters. It's really
Yeah.
great. But yeah, I'll pass the
Okay.
mic.
So my number 7 is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like I know some people have issues with these games, but just playing through them, like me personally, I feel like music and how fun a game is are the two most important factors to any video game. Like graphics, I don't really care much. Great graphics are, a plus, but they're not like, the be all end all or whatever. Like the story, it's it's the original Pokemon game with a couple of things tweaked here and there. The
Mm.
challenge, it's Pokemon. Who cares about challenge? Like it's just being able to revisit Kanto again in HD on the Switch. And this art style, it's an art style that's actually different than the Sword and Shield art style, and I actually kind of like the Pokemon Let's Go art style a little better. I just think the
Mm.
character models just kind of look, I don't know, more appealing. The world just has this like glow to it that just looks great. The Pokemon following behind you is always fantastic. Uh, the gym leader teams are ideal for what they are, like for only having the original 151. Like what the gym leaders have all the Pokemon that you would expect them to have. Like for example, in Generation One, Blaine had a Growlithe, Ponyta, Rapidash, Arcanine. In a gym that had a lot of cool fire types, he essentially only had two fire types. Here he has
Mm.
Magmar, Ninetales, Arcanine, Rapidash. Like that's a very
The
solid team,
worst.
especially for a
Right.
seventh gym leader. Yeah, he should have that. um, and yeah, they updated some of the Elite Four members. That you can rematch pretty much anyone you want.
Yes, that I like because
Yes.
rematching. Sorry, I don't mean to tell you, but
No,
like, yeah,
go for it.
that is huge because like playing the old ones, like once you reach a certain point, it's pretty much done. Like
Yeah,
rematching is
like
huge.
you can in the original you can rebattle the Elite Four again, but they have the same team on the same levels.
Yeah.
Here you can rebattle the Elite Four. They're 10 levels up with like a new addition to their teams, and I think a couple of
Hmm.
differences here and there. And then all the gym leaders also have brand new teams at like level like 55 or 60. Like it's actually like can be a challenge if you're not ready. Like it's a lot
And
of
it's something
fun.
to do after being the main story. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and Let's Go also has this thing where there's different Pokemon. I think they're called Pokemon Masters or some. I don't remember what they're called, but essentially throughout the entire world, every single Pokemon. Let me rephrase that. There's a trainer throughout the entire world. There is a trainer associated with every single Pokemon. Well, it's essentially like, for example, there's a trainer that has like the best possible Tangela that could possibly be with like a move set that's specifically tailored to fighting other Tangela, and you can only fight him with a Tangela. So
Ridiculous.
yeah, so you have to go into that. It's like a level like 65 Tangela. You have to go in there using only Tangela, and if you win, you get like the title of Tangela Master or something like that. And there's something like that for every single Pokemon throughout the entire region, and it's
That's so
just
cool.
it's just very charming, very fun. Just is it the Pokemon Yellow remake that I necessarily wanted? I don't think so. There's a lot more effort they could have put into it, but for what it is, it's a ton of fun,
Yeah.
and I I just like playing it. So yeah,
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm jealous. I kind of want that game, but I know I don't have to buy a whole console to get
yeah.
it. I'm like,
I mean, there's
oh,
other games on there, like other games I'm gonna mention further up that are
I
also
know,
on
I
there.
know. But see, then it goes from like, okay, that's like a $300 bill to like, now I'm spending five, because each game, because all the games, because
$60.
the Switch games do not go down in value at
Nintendo knows
all.
their value. They're not gonna decrease.
They do not. Like PlayStation games, you give it a couple weeks, like, okay, it'll go down 10, 20 bucks. Like, every game you want on Switch is still
Breath of the
$60.
Wild is still $60.
Like, that game came out, how, like,
It's
I
going
mean,
on 4 years.
yeah, has not dropped a cent. And I'm just like,
Okay.
but like, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's awesome. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. You're number 7.
Okay, so my number 7 is a game everyone liked that played this game, Red Dead 2.
Mm.
This game, everyone was playing this game at the end of what was it, 2018, I
2018.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of it, everyone had this game. Literally, two of my roommates sharing the same apartment bought their individual copies of the game for no other reason, just to have their own.
Uh,
While and I was telling my brother, I was like, yeah, it was so weird they bought their own. He's like, really? Because I just bought it too, and I was like, that's so like everyone I knew had bought this game, and I was like, what is it? It's like I'm like, okay, it's GTA with cowboys. That's great. But
GTA with Cowboys.
GTA with cowboys is awesome because it's not just going around shooting people and taking their horse. Like there's a lot to it. You could literally play the whole game just skinning animals. Like
Mm.
there's a whole bunch of like side stuff, a whole bunch of just like not main like detailed things you can just dive into for hours and hours. And this game and visually, this is probably the most like aesthetically pleasing game probably I've ever played.
Mm.
Like this game looks amazing. Like the grass, man. Like when you're staring at grass for that long, that's how you know this game was killed. Like I was just like, this thing looks real. It looks so real. It's so good. Oh my gosh, like it's really fun and like you can and like everything is important. There's no just like throwing stuff. Like you have to level up your horse. Like
Mm.
you know how crazy it is? Like, a lot of games you just get a horse. Like, you have to level up your horse. If your horse dies, it actually dies. You have to get another one.
Yep.
Like, there's so much stuff, and, like, the idea of just, like, having a group you have to, like, report back to and stuff, and, like, the game is smart enough that if you're away from camp, they will send people after you, literally. Be like, hey, you've been away for a while, maybe. You know, like, how smart this game is.
Yes.
It's, like, it's really good. The honor system is extremely complicated. Well, not complicated, but extremely like sensitive. Like you don't help like an old lady cross the street. All of a sudden, you're an outlaw. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, come on, man, I'm busy. Like, like people start shooting at you if you don't like save someone. It's like, why don't you shoot them? They're the bandits. Like, I mean, no, it's so ridiculous. And like no, and then you could try to save people, and it's a trap, and people try to rob you. Like, you don't know. The first time that happened to me, I got so like I was so happy that the game was that smart, but I got so big. So my brother didn't tell me that could happen. He just told me save everyone you can so you can raise up your honor, and I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And then the dude comes up behind the rock with the sawed-off shotgun, and I'm just like, wait, whoa. Like I about lost it. It was great. But no, this game is it's fun, it's smart, it's done well, the story's good. It's just it's a likable main character. It's a really great game. The quality is top shelf for sure.
So my number 6 is going right along with Pokemon Sun and Moon / Ultra Sun and Moon.
There it is.
So, you've heard time and time again that Pokemon is just the same game repackaged over and over again with a new coat of paint, with new characters, but like it's the same basic gameplay. Sun and Moon, and then Ultra Sun and Moon, which I'll get a little more into in a second. Sun and Moon on the 3DS sought to try and change that formula. Every single game up to that point, for the Gen 1 through 6, the basic gameplay is you start your game, you have your rival or rivals, and then try to beat 8 gym leaders while also stopping the villain team along the way to then become the champion. Every single game has been that exact basic formula. This game decided to change it up a little bit, and instead of having gyms, they have things called the Island Challenge. Essentially, there are four major islands in this game. The region is based on Hawaii, and there are seven different island trials that involve you either doing something for like the person in charge of the trial or kind of doing it on your own to like do some kind of puzzle or like fight different Pokemon kind of along the way to then satisfy some prerequisite to then fight the totem Pokemon at the end, which is essentially a big version of a random Pokemon that like can then summon other Pokemon to help it, which can get very annoying when, for example, the water trial. It's this Pokemon called Wishy Washy that has an ability where at the start of the battle it like essentially collects 100 of him or like multiple of him to create like a huge fish. You know, like how schools of fish like sometimes make themselves
Mm-hmm.
look like bigger versions of a fish.
Yeah, Finding Nemo. I'm familiar.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Basically, it does that with itself, and kind of throughout the battle, it can summon either Pokemon that would be good against the electric Pokemon or grass Pokemon that you're planning on using against it, or a Pokemon that can
Ooh,
heal it. So summon a Pokemon that can like just constantly heal itself.
okay.
So some of these can be just a huge pain to get through. Not to mention these giant Pokemon also have some or all of their stats increased. So like people who complain about Pokemon games being too easy, these games are actually like kind of challenging.
Yeah. And it's more to it than just,
Yeah, it's not just
go.
beat a couple of gym trainers and then beat an opponent with 3 rock types. You have a water type, you win. Like there's actually some thought put into how these challenges are actually done. There is still an evil team. There is still a professor and a rival and an elite four and a champion, but it's done in a way where it feels good enough, and they contextualize it within the story where like it it's not just the same cookie cutter formula that every other game has been.
Right. There's
So
actually, yeah, like you said, there's differences. Like,
yeah,
it actually matters what you do.
exactly. So Ultra Sun and Moon is essentially the like third version, like Emerald or Yellow, where they take the base game and just add a couple of things here and there and sell it again. I if I played Ultra Sun and Moon first, it would definitely be in our tier above Sun and Moon. But since it's so similar, they have to be together. So
Yeah.
they are exactly the same. Like there's a couple of differences here and there, but they are essentially the same game up to like the climax of the story of the original, and then something completely different happens. Uh, so then you have to like do like a little bit extra bit of story after that to then like actually beat that game story. Um, so that's cool. But then they have after you beat the champion of that game, then a brand new villain team shows up called Team Rainbow Rocket. So
Rainbow Rock.
Rainbow Rocket. Essentially,
Okay.
how this is so in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire, which I should forgot to put in this list, but it's fine. I put them in honorable mentions.
There you go.
They confirmed that certain Pokemon games essentially take place in different timelines, like different like dimensions. Essentially, the remakes take place in one dimension, and the originals take place in a different dimension. So in when Team Rainbow Rocket comes in and tries to take over this region, essentially Team Rainbow Rocket is consists of uh, the different evil team leaders that come in from a dimension where they actually won the story they were in. So
What?
you have
Whoa.
Giovanni who has a Mewtwo, you have Maxie who has a Groudon, you have
Oh no.
Cyrus who has a Dialga or Palkia depending on the game you play. Like they have their team from the game plus a legendary.
Oh
Yeah.
no. This could be a problem.
Yes. So like and I feel like that should have been that should have been the game. How awesome would it have been if Team Rainbow Rocket would have been like the through line villain of the entire game, but they
Yeah.
just kind of weren't. But whatever. At least it is a very, very cool idea that they kind of tacked on at the end. It at least showed they put some effort into it. I just wish
Mhm.
they hadn't. It feels kind of like they're wasting this idea when they could do it. I guess they could do something similar later, but like it is such a cool idea that like I can forgive how similar it is, how small the changes are up to that point. Just the post game of that game, I think, is very very solid. Um, but yeah, almost all of the brand new Pokemon introduced, I really like all pretty much all of the new characters. I also really like the villain teams. I really enjoy they're just very 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 solid Pokemon games.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I kind of want to try that now.
Uh,
Oh man.
yeah. Number six.
Okay, yeah, number six. Now, I know you have this game. You were going to talk about it plenty, so I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna talk for like,
What
but
Smash?
yeah, it's Smash. I know you're gonna talk about it a lot, so I'm just gonna be like, you know what? And I've never personally owned this game. That's the reason it's not in my
Uh,
top five because I feel like I can't. I played it a lot because my roommate in college had it. We played for
right.
a lot, especially during exam week, which
Right.
we probably shouldn't have. But who really wants to study when you
Fine.
can just go and kill each
Exactly.
other, right? So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, great game, a lot of fun. Everyone plays this game. Everyone loves this game.
Mm.
I'm gonna defer to you when we
Okay.
talk about it
Uh,
later.
I'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number five is Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Okay.
I I honestly really struggled as to where I would put these games specifically because like I like them. I like Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon a lot, and
Hmm.
I wasn't sure if Sword and Shield I just liked because of like it was just a recency effect thing, or if I actually liked them this much.
Right.
I actually like them, especially after the DLC and all the expansions and stuff happened. I
Hmm.
really, really like these games. I feel like a lot of people give them just too much crap. I agree, there are some flaws. The graphics aren't as good as they should be. And I don't, like I said, I don't really care about graphics, but when Let's Go, I feel had a better art style, it's a little iffy.
Yeah.
There are there aren't as many memorable songs as I would like, especially for Pokemon, because like Pokemon have some of my favorite songs of all time. But the gym leader battle theme is some of the hypest. Like I at some point soon, I want you to Google Sword and Shield gym leader song, like gym leader
Okay.
theme, and just listen to all of
Okay.
it. It goes places.
Okay,
um,
I'll have it queued up for later.
cool. Uh, yeah, like generally, whenever a new Pokemon game comes out, I like 90+% of the Pokedex, but never not often do I look at a Pokedex and be like, some of these are now, top 20 favorite of all time. Sword and
Hmm.
Shield added probably three or four, if not more than that, to my top 10, at least top 20 of all time favorite Pokemon. Like some of these are that good designs, or like I enjoyed playing them that much that they just,
Too
I
good.
yeah, they're just very very good. Uh, the gym leaders I feel pose like a decent enough challenge throughout. I have a couple of issues with certain Pokemon they use here and there, but it's not worth going over here. The champion is actually challenging. Like even if you have the legendary in your team, the champion could still potentially potentially beat you.
Nice.
Um, the villain team's plan is very dumb. It doesn't even bother explaining why he's doing it. You just kind of accept, oh, he's a villain, you're doing it, whatever.
Because he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Uh, the like the post game, even before the DLC, was like an hour or two of just like extra story stuff, and it was fine. But then the DLCs added a brand new story mode, entirely new areas to explore that looked great. Uh, a couple of new not like a couple of new Pokemon that are legendaries, and then some new forms of old Pokemon as well. Uh, and yeah, like after everything, after everything this game has, I think if all of this was, if everything in the DLC was in the original game for $60, I think people would think a lot more highly of these games.
Hmm.
But because those expansions did come later for an actual charge, people don't think super highly of it. But I think
Yeah.
if they take what Sword and Shield did, added the open world areas, they streamlined a couple of things here and there, just to make it overall, I think, more solid experience. If they could just streamline and just expand on those ideas further for future Pokemon games and put a little more effort in for how much this
Yeah.
game sold, they can put more effort in. It's not gonna kill
Yeah.
you. It's fine.
Especially for Pokemon, like you
Yeah,
know this is gonna be huge. Like,
yeah. Like they could afford to put a little more effort in. Uh, so yeah, they. I think Sword and Shield don't deserve nearly as much hate as they do get, and I think like they're probably like at least top four favorite Pokemon. Well, they are my second favorite Pokemon game of the past decade. I guess we'll put it like
okay,
that. Yeah.
fair enough. Okay,
Number
my number
five.
five. Oh, it's getting good now. Top
Yeah.
five. All right. So my number five, I have the Spyro Reignited trilogy
Uh,
because I mean, again, I know I've said this probably the third or fourth time, but of course I grew up
that's
with the
fine.
original Spyro games on the
Uh,
on PlayStation One. Me and my well, mostly my brother started it, and I piggybacked off him because
uh,
little brothers do, and then, and then and all these years later, I mean the game, they're up, the graphics are updated, the mechanics are a lot less clunky. You don't feel like you have to press 30 buttons just to glide over a little rift. It's very nice. It's, it looks so good. Like it's really good. The games are like the levels are pretty much exactly the same. I mean, yeah, there some characters get redesigned and touched up, which is interesting because not all the designs I'm a fan of,
yeah.
and some of the audio has been changed. Like
Mm.
I don't know if I think I did this
We
before.
talked about this before. Yeah.
Yeah, the idol got changed, which was the big. Like me and my brother were both so upset about it because that was like the funniest thing ever. And there's a whole YouTube video about people also upset about it. But anyway, it's this thing. But other than that, I mean, it does a really good job, and it really motivates you to kind of be more of a completionist this time
Mm.
because you have the ability. Like at first, it was like, okay, find all the gems in the realm. It was like you really expect me to find every single one of these things in this whole level.
Yes.
But now, right? And it's like, how dare you? Like, yeah. But now they added a mechanic where you can have Sparks, your little helper or whatever. He can point to any direction any
Mm.
missing gems are. So now, if you don't do it, you're just lazy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less like you can't blame the game anymore for why you have 100% it, which I'm still at like 90 something percent because I'm still a little bit lazy,
Mhm.
but they are a lot of fun. And with the third game when you play as different characters, the mini games are still pretty hard. Like that boxing mini game, I still hate it. It's still super difficult, but there's still a lot of fun. The characters are fun, and it's just a really good game. It's a
Yeah.
solid game, and the kind of games we love.
Okay. Nice. So my number four is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Nice.
This game, I I have an interesting history with Zelda. I've played very, very few Zelda games. I've played the Minish Cap a little bit. I've played Wind Waker, a little bit of Link's Awakening, and the original Zelda game. I think that's about it. Maybe I played up like a couple hours of Link to the Past. Breath of the Wild is straight up perfect. Like there is like maybe two minor complaints I have with the entire game. Like if in the next game they add a feature that allows you to either sharpen or somehow forge new weapons, perfect 10 out of 10. Like literally that every single person who has a complaint about the game, their only major complaint is that weapons break too easy. Like if they just kind of fix that a little, tweak that a little bit just to have it more under your control. Perfect. Just the ability to step off the Great Plateau, and if you want to go straight to the final boss, like go straight to the castle and just win. If you're good enough, like
You are free to do so.
you're free to do that. But if you'd rather explore this huge world, talk to townspeople, talk to the different other races and other people throughout the world, uh, be creative and just how you explore it. You can just walk, you can ride a horse, you can you can like use your stasis item and hit it, and then get on top of a big rock and just fly forever. Like there you can like put little balloons on a raft and literally fly. Like it's just so it's just so good. Like I legitimately believe that the sequel is going to be one of the greatest. Like Breath of the Wild is already one of the best games ever made. The sequel is absolutely going to be top two best games. Period. Like if it stays in the same world, if it has a similar vibe, if the story is even better, which that's the other my kind of major complaint with Breath of the Wild, the story. It's not really what you would like. It's just kind of not there, but like, who cares? I
Right.
really just don't care that much. The story is how you explore the world. To me, how you explore it, you kind of create your own story as you go, and I think that's enough for me. Uh, but if they actually go more in on the story in the sequel, perfect. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and even though this game first was like the first game on the Switch, and also it was technically a Wii U game, it still looks gorgeous. Like it's
Yeah.
still great.
You wouldn't even know it. Like
Uh, yeah. Number four.
number four. Okay, so number four, I have Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Now,
Oh.
this one might have some recency bias because this is the most recent game I beat.
Mhm.
But as far as just like how enjoyable this game, like the jump from the last game to this game in terms of like mechanics, it did a
Uh,
great job of adding to things I did want that I didn't know I wanted.
mm,
Like, it's like, it's like, oh man, throwing knives are cool, but would you rather have a crossbow? I'm like, yes,
yes.
yes, I would.
Yes.
Thank you for asking. And like, okay, yeah, this is great. But he's like, yeah, isn't it great being an assassin? But you know what's better than being an assassin? Getting your own assassins to do your dirty work for you and
Yeah,
signaling them on command at any point in the game.
that sounds
I'm
neat.
like, it's awesome. You actually have to like level them up, send them on missions and stuff. And like you can just and there's like if you get enough assassins, you can just like if you're in a fight, you can just signal them.
Mm.
They'll just kill everyone in sight,
Oh,
straight up.
that's
Like
great. That's
smoke
very
bombs
great.
come down, dead bodies. That's it. Like it's
Mm.
just like you just walk out feeling like the baddest man on the planet. Like it's so satisfying. The combat's a lot better. They add heavy weapons, so now you can just have a battle axe or
Yeah.
whatever you want. Like you can just be that guy. You
Hmm.
can, and like, but it makes sense because like the bigger weapons are obviously slower. It's harder to parry with them and stuff like that. Which was, with the swords, they're more balanced. They're
Yeah.
faster. And there's a lot of things. Like story is not as in depth as the last game because it's kind of more simple. You've kind of already accomplished the main stuff mostly. You kind
Hmm.
of just continue to be a boss assassin pretty much.
Yeah.
But with all the added details and like how cool different the missions are, and you can do pretty much whatever you want. It's really awesome. It's just It's so much, dude. It's fun, man. Like it is,
Hmm.
it's fun. I you can go down a rabbit hole playing that game. It's
Oh
really
yeah.
a lot of fun. The only thing, the graphics aren't the greatest, but I mean, as far as actual gameplay, it's pretty awesome. And a lot of people say like with the newer Assassin's Creed games, they don't like them as much because they added like a level system. But like here, it's like you can 1v1 anyone
Yes.
straight
Yeah,
up.
they added
Like
more RPG mechanics and made them
yeah,
stupid long. Like over a
yeah.
hundred hours. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like that doesn't seem like one of the best appeals with this game for me is that like I can stab you anyway. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what level you are. If my sword goes through you, I win. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty much how it is, and like how simple and like it's kind of like how with like they added the free flow combat's a lot better because it used to be you could only like it's like you have to focus on one guy at a time and maybe you can counter. But here you can go cycle between people, punch that guy, stab that guy, throw a knife there, not
Mm,
even break a sweat. It's really cool.
nice.
Like you feel like a boss, man. Highly recommend.
Nice.
But yeah.
Okay. My number three is Kid Icarus Uprising.
Mm.
I know I mentioned this before when we did our, the Kill Your Baby's best game ever thing. This is the best 3DS game, period. It
Mm.
is the best game on the 3DS. Like, it is so funny, so charming. The levels are all unique. The different ways that you can interact with different enemies, and like there's a flying section and a ground section of every single level. Uh, the just for how many different weapons you can have. There are, I think, there might be like 12 different kinds of weapons. No, that's not true. There's a pretty high like number of like categories. It's like maybe six different categories of weapons, and then within those different categories, there's like a huge amount of different weapons per category, and then you can like fuse different weapons together to fuse their to like get a brand new weapon that like fuses their attributes together into that weapon. Um,
Ooh.
and there's like other different like abilities you can put to just kind of activate any time while you're fighting. The different Every single boss and every single major character has a personality, has like interacts with you in a very particular way. Interacts with Palutena, who's like talking to you kind of throughout. Like this world feels very lived in. It's not like you just show up and just go. Like everyone knows each other. Everyone like you learn stuff as the characters learn stuff. Like the controls, people do complain about the controls at times, but like the for what it was on the 3DS, like since it's essentially an on rails shooter, really, especially in the air. You don't have like two sticks on the 3DS. Like you have to use the stylus, kind of like a mouse
Right.
on the touchpad. But like I never had an issue with it. I thought it was comfortable enough to play just fine. And yeah, this game either needs a sequel or a port on the Switch. Like I think it sold like 1.2 million units. So like people played this game, but not enough people played this game. Like it's like putting it on the Switch with updated controls, updated graphics, maybe even a brand new like a little side mission story thing. Like this game is already a little long, as it not necessarily long, but like it there's like one too many scenarios too many when I feel they could have fleshed out like one or like there's one little arc in the game that I feel they had just taken those three levels and just added them to different other levels. It could have been a little stronger, but like it's still what you're doing in that arc is still a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, it's just a very very fun game, and I would just love either a sequel or a port of it on the Switch. Yeah.
It really should, man. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
man. Like, And they probably will. To be honest, they probably will.
Yeah, I
You don't
know
think
that
so?
apparently like there's a problem. Like there's just the way the 3DS and the Switch are made. It's hard
Mm.
to make 3DS games on the Switch, but like if they really want to, they could figure it out.
Yeah, but one thing, especially like the Switch, like it like basically can also be a handheld. So
Yeah,
it's like, would it really be that hard? But then again,
no,
I don't make video games for a
yeah,
living, so I don't know. Like, I
I
guess
don't know.
maybe, but still. Okay, top three.
Mm,
All right. So my number three is Spider-Man PS4
nice.
because you get to be Spider-Man pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I mean, what argument is there right there? And it feels as advertised. The biggest question going into this game, everyone has like, what's the swing going to be like? Because
Mm.
whether or not a Spider-Man game is good or not is like 90% based on does the swinging feel awesome. And let me tell you,
It,
this swinging is the best swing in any game. Period. Like
uh,
it's so good. Like
yes.
it feels real. The momentum, it makes sense. You can't swing just anywhere. It's not like the PS2 games where you just swing in the sky. You have to
Uh,
actually be in range of something to swing to. There's indicators where you can always zip to something. You can crawling. You can run instead of just awkwardly crawl all the time. It makes sense because you're
hmm
Spider-Man and you've been Spider-Man for a while, so it makes sense. I like the story because it feels like a really good comic book story. You think it's going one way, then it goes another way, then all of a sudden, boom, Sinister Six. You're like, oh crap, where'd that come from? And like, you're kind of like him, like, oh, they're all working together. This is a problem, and it
Yeah,
actually
a little
is
bit.
hard. There is issues. Mary Jane's not the worst character like in some other iterations of
Mm,
Spider-Man. And like there's a lot of positive things about this game. It's really good. I'm so happy they're adding on to it. It's getting a sequel, despite whose face may or may not be under the mask, but that's a rant for
yeah.
later. Anyway, but my biggest problem, and the reason this isn't probably the best game, is the two biggest problems I have with this game are one, the non-skippable, forced, lame, weird stealth side missions
Yeah.
with Mary and Miles Morales. Like I've looked. Other people don't love them. I hate them. Like I
Uh,
straight up hate because it's distracting from. I want to just be Spider-Man the entire game. I don't want to be anybody else. This isn't Mary Jane PS4. I want to be Spider-Man the
mhm.
entire time. It's awesome. It feels great in fighting, but it's annoying. They're not hard, but it's like
Tedious.
you have to. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and they've come up more often than they should. There's a lot more of them than there should be. Like I thought there was gonna be maybe one or two. Like it feels like every 15 minutes of being Spider-Man, there's a Mary Jane mission. It's just
Uh,
like, are you serious? Are you all serious? Like there were points where I was like, oh, don't do it, don't you do it. And you get a
and they did
call
it.
for injury. I'm like, no, hang up. Oh. And it's just like, oh, fine, but it's okay. The story and the other problem I have, the boss battles are way too easy. Like they are not boss battles.
Uh,
They're pretty much dodge and then press triangle in this case to win. Like
uh,
it's very easy, and I don't like it. They seem all pretty much the same. You web them up and you web them up and punch, and that's pretty much it. And it's like the potential for these fights could have been crazy. Some of these fights could have been like you know on a building. Some of them could have been doing what like a, and then like some of them are kind of aerial. Like the vulture fight is kind of like I think it's vulture and shocker at the same time, or
oh,
somebody at the same time. I don't remember. Like a lot of the boss fights, there are like double boss fights. It feels weird, but kind of the same issue I have with Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like the boss fights just feel kind of there. They're not
mm,
really that exciting, and you're kind of just like, oh, that was supposed to be the emotional payoff. That was kind of lame,
yeah.
but whatever. Because even the final boss fight is pretty much the same fight. Dodge, dodge. Okay, web them up. Go get them. Like
Mm,
I get it. I'm Spider-Man. It's my thing. But like, it's a little lame. So I'm hoping I haven't looked at the Miles Morales game because I don't want to spoil it. I want to play it myself. But I'm hoping they've improved that a little bit. I feel like they probably haven't, but then again, we'll see.
yeah. Okay. So my number two is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh yeah.
So I honestly don't have much more to say about it. I know you didn't even talk much about it, but like,
No.
what else is there to say? There are, I think there are over 90 characters at this point. No, actually, 85 maybe. There's going to be 86. There's going to be like close to 90 characters by its all, by the end of it. The
That's
just and all of them feel good to play. Like there's not one that necessarily at this point feels overwhelmingly better than the others. Uh, the online mode, although it can, it is a Nintendo online game, so it's not going to be flawless. It's still just a lot of fun to play. Like
hmm
the little story mode they had, it was actually kind of long, but like satisfying to do. All the new characters they've added are just been great so far. Um, yeah, it's just the ultimate Smash Bros. Game. Like that, I don't know, like
yeah.
I don't have much to say about it. It's just it's if you like Smash Bros, you're gonna like this game. It's
You're gonna love
fantastic.
this game. It's so much fun. The mechanics, you can just, and I mean, and I know, and it's hard saying it because like it's hard because it's just a better version of the games that already exist.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like zone out why this one specifically is better than the others because it's just like, well, you can still do all of this, but with this much people, this much
hmm
stages, this much music, add this thing, and then
Yeah.
there you go. And
Like there's a
yeah,
couple of things like there's no target Smash mode, and there's like one or two other like little modes here and there that I kind of wish were in there, but like who cares? Like there's so much other stuff to do. It's great. And the fact that like when they added Sephiroth, they added like at least for a limited time they added a little like boss mode where you actually had to fight Sephiroth in order to unlock him.
ooh,
Yeah, yeah. Like I kind of wish that you had to have fought every single DLC character in order to
yeah, that's
actually
what I was
unlock them.
thinking.
But the fact that they knew like Sephiroth is special in that way, like it, yeah,
You
like
have to
that,
earn it.
you had to earn it. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping. I was kind of that was the one thing I was thinking. Like DLC characters just kind of showed up when they were released, and it's like
Yeah,
because like there's something about playing the first game where you're playing and then you just go, and it's like you gotta go get a
uh,
character. Like that's like
it's fun.
especially if the person who wins has to like earn the right to
Uh,
like I don't know like whenever you're just playing with friends, that's like the best feeling.
yes,
Mm.
yeah, like it's my favorite game on Switch. Like it's great.
It's that good. Yeah.
You're
Okay.
number two.
All right. Number two. Everyone loves this game. Batman Arkham City. It's as advertised. We all know. We all
Yeah,
know. Like
yeah.
you're Batman in this game. Like you
Uh,
are. It doesn't matter. Like the story, amazing. The gameplay is amazing. You have every gadget you will ever possibly need, and three you didn't even know were a thing. It's like like there's so much here, and it's so much fun. And yeah, Arkham City is such a great idea because it kind of because the biggest complaint everyone had with Arkham Asylum was, well, it's cool, but you're only outside for 5 minutes.
yeah.
All right, well, this game you've got basically an entire town to yourself, and I know Arkham Knight kind of has that also going
Mm,
for it, but here it's different. One, because there's no Batmobile, and
yeah.
two, just because it flows better. The storyline's really good, and
Mm,
like the side stuff doesn't feel that out of the way for the most part. Like you need to at least start most of the side stuff to continue the main story, which is something I
yeah.
like. It kind of, hey, you should think about coming back to this later or not, up to you.
Mm,
But yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, everyone, you got Kevin Conroy, you got Mark Hamill, it it is everything in a Batman game you could ever ask for,
yep.
pretty much, more or less. I mean, you know what I'm It's
Yeah.
really, yeah. I mean, I mean, maybe a little more gameplay as other characters in like the Bat family, but like even that is like maybe asking for a lot. But I mean, yeah, this game is great. The stealth mode is it's beautiful. I don't know, man. Like it's something about like I remember the first time I like really got it. I was just like, dude, this game is great. Like oh man, it's so satisfying. Just be like, you can just like you'll just drop in a room of thugs, like 50 thugs, take them all out like it's nothing. Like,
Uh,
and it doesn't feel like stupid. You actually individually combo, counter, break someone's leg. You remember how you broke his face, his
uh,
leg. It's so like it's earned. It doesn't feel like you're just OP for no reason. Like you're
Mm,
Batman. It feels kind of it just it's just it's so good, man. It's
yes. Yeah. I think the fact that Arkham Knight isn't on your list kind of says something about how good this game is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Because again, Arkham Knight, because I like Arkham Knight because it added a few things to City, but a lot of it was a step back
Yes.
because like I like the story elements of Arkham Knight, like the whole like again spoilers for those of you who at this point if you haven't played the game, I mean whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like the whole thing with like the Joker comes in your mind, and as you get through the game, you get crazy. You start looking
I
at
love
stuff, and
that.
stuff has the Joker's face.
Yeah.
Like that is probably some of the smartest game writing stuff
Mm,
I've ever seen.
yes.
But as far you do this game not to hear about that because we already have a great Batman stories, but we don't have as many. You feel like Batman playing games. You feel
Mm,
like Batman for a little bit, but most of that game is spent in the Batmobile, which everyone hates about it, and
yes.
I'm included. It's not the
It's fun the
Batmobile is
first
not fun.
time, and then
Yes, yeah, no, it's cool. Like it is cool to summon the Batmobile, get in the Batmobile, fly out of the Batmobile. Everything else about the tank wars, the just driving the Batmobile is difficult. Like the Batmobile should handle like a dream, not
yeah,
like a
not like a
tank.
tank. Yeah, it's weird.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I left that one off. That was a tough. That one, I I didn't want to make a statement by leaving it off, but it was kind of like the same thing with like Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like I don't hate those games. Well, okay, I I shouldn't hate those games, but because of predecessors, I
uh,
feel they should have been way better. But
yes.
I digress.
Yeah.
Your move.
So did you say you had any honorable mentions? That's it.
I didn't. I mean, I could say Kingdom Hearts 3. I thought about. I really thought about it, but I was like, you know what? No.
Yeah,
If
that's
it's
right.
this low, it doesn't deserve it.
Okay. So that's fine.
So,
I'll
I mean,
briefly go
yeah.
over some of the honorable mentions I
Go
have, and
ahead.
then say my number one. So, uh, Sonic Mania, return to
Nice.
form for Sonic games. They should make a sequel to it now. Mario Galaxy 2, it's just a better version of Mario Galaxy. Like I said before, I don't necessarily love the 3D Mario games as much as other people, but it's still a very,
Mm-hmm.
very solid game. Overwatch, it's
Oh yeah.
just a ton of fun. It's just fun. Very, very toxic fan base, but very fun.
I've heard.
Yeah. Uh, Transformers Devastation. It's a Platinum Games beat 'em up where you play as Transformers. It's not good,
Yes.
but it's a ton of fun. And then Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team Deluxe. I forgot about this game until we were in the middle of the podcast, so it'll probably be like
It be like
that.
that. Yeah.
Honestly, probably should be number 20, maybe. I don't know, but like it's just very fun. Like it
We'll know for next
yeah.
time.
Like I think I've talked to you about the Mystery Dungeon series before. I love this series. Just the characters are so charming. The music is so good. Just it's Pokemon. It's Pokemon in a very different play style, but it's still a ton of fun. And if this is it, since this game did pretty well, please just make more Mystery Dungeon games. Make them good. Because the one right before Rescue Team Deluxe was very, very bad. It was called Super Mystery Dungeon. It was very bad. Just everything about it was garbage. Like I don't have time to go into it right now, but everything about it was very bad. This game was actually good. So, uh, so, and I'm sure there are a couple other games I either haven't finished or forgot about, and that's okay. Uh, you're here to see my number one favorite game of past decade, and that game is Pokemon Black and White 2. So, Pokemon Black and White is seems to be like a fan favorite for a pretty solid portion of the fan base. It was the first game on the DS. They did the thing where every single Pokemon was completely new. There were no previous gen Pokemon. This is Generation 5, so there were no previous gen Pokemon, at least as far as the main Pokedex goes. There were some in the post game as far as like as you go, you only see brand new Pokemon. I really do like that. Um, but there are a couple of things that they added or changed about the Pokemon formula that were ambitious, but didn't grab me in the right way. Like the villain team, they kind of seem like they are a certain way, and then well, it turns out they're actually evil in a completely different way with like at first it's like oh they just want to liberate Pokemon, but really their leader wants to take over the world because of course he does. uh, and after like you go through the Elite Four, and then your rival, or at least like one of your rivals, the rival that's the son of the leader of the villain team, he's already beaten the champion. So like you get there,
Ooh.
you're right, the rival's already beaten the champion, and then like the villains like descend upon the like castle, and like this other castle like rises up around the champion castle, and like then you have to go through the castle, like, that castle, and then beat a couple other guys, and then finally beat the rival, and then the villain team leader, and then after you do that, that's the end of the game, and then you can go back again later, do a couple of stuff in the post game, and then go back and finally go through the Elite Four and be the champion for real that time.
Okay.
I don't love that. It just kind of feels to me like they were trying to do something different, but the only thing they knew how it's like we're going to do something different with this game, but the only the only thing they knew how to do was mess with the formula to the point where like we're just gonna make you fight the champion later. Like that's the only thing they did. Like we're
Right.
just gonna move the villain story up to where the champion should be, and then you can fight the champion later. It felt a little disjointed. I don't know. It felt like you could have felt if you had
Done way
just
more.
dealt with the villain teams earlier, it would have felt a little better to me personally. But they still are very solid games. Every single Pokemon introduced, I think, are very solid. There's a couple of ones that are laughing stocks in the community, like the trash Pokemon or the ice cream Pokemon. I think they're cute. But then a year later, Black and White 2 comes out and blow those games out of the water. Like, I don't think people talk about Black and White 2 enough. It, like, for what the DS was, it wasn't a very powerful system. Pokemon like looked as good as it possibly could on the DS, with Black and White, but Black and White 2. So let me back up just a second. Another thing that kind of put me off of Black and White, there's something about just the way they made the region that made it feel a little dull, a little like too gray. Just, I don't know, just kind of like just a vibe I was getting. I just didn't really feel happy when playing it. Oh, it just didn't like give like that like life that Pokemon games usually give.
Yeah.
Whatever they did with the color grading or just how they built the world in Black and White 2 made me feel that way. And Black and White 2 are a literal sequel to Black and White, where it takes place 2 years in the future of Black and White. So you start as a brand new protagonist in a brand new hometown. You fight a couple of brand new gym leaders. All the gym leaders and other major characters from the first game are still there, but they're aged up and have some of them have different. Uh, some of them have a new occupations. Some of the gym, like I said, some of the gym leaders are different. The story is a little different. Like essentially, there's like the villain team is still kind of here, but like it's like a new like resurgent, kind of like the First Order, where it's like the same but like a little different.
Yeah.
um,
But basically, you could have called the same thing anyway.
yeah, I think they're called like Neo Team Plasma as opposed to just Team Plasma. But I like their outfits a lot more. Your rival, he's just like your rival is a guy who uh, he's just very very angry at Team Plasma because at some point in the past they stole his sister's Pokemon, so now he wants
Oh,
revenge on them. So like
fair enough.
he fights you throughout just to kind of keep you like up. He claims like to keep you up with him. Of course, you
Hmm.
beat him every time, but like just the fact that like more often than not you're like partnering with your rival to go take on the villain teams is very very solid. Uh, the music, I know I've told to you before that Pokemon music is some of my all-time favorite music in video games. Pokemon Black and White 2 has the best Pokemon soundtrack. Like literally everyone agrees that one song in particular. I want you to also put this in your queue.
Okay.
The Driftvale City theme. Driftvale City. And there are other songs from this game that are also fantastic, and also games from other Pokemon games that are also fantastic. I think Pokemon Platinum is like at least in the same tier of Pokemon music. Ruby and Sapphire also had some just bangers, but the Driftvale City theme is the best song Pokemon ever produced. It is just
Really?
it goes so hard. Like, and then while you're listening to that, like, I want you to go down a rabbit hole of other songs from this game. Like, I mean, yeah, it's great. Uh,
Gotcha. Now I'm also excited to listen to this
yeah,
music.
uh, and yeah, it's just. Oh, and also they added back in the ability to catch some previous gen Pokemon, although they don't like overwhelm the new Pokemon.
Hmm.
They don't like they don't. It's not like they add Pokemon in that replace some older ones. It's just a couple of new ones, a couple of older ones here and there, just to kind of keep the familiarity while still making it feel like this world is 2 years in the future. And these Pokemon have migrated
Right.
here. Yeah, but the thing that absolutely puts this game over the edge is that they introduced this thing called the Pokemon World Tournament, where gym leaders and champions and other important characters throughout the history of Pokemon up to that point gather in this arena and fight tournament style until there's a champion in this big tournament. We are all set to level 50, so like there's different kinds of champions. There's like the Kanto team. There's like the Kanto tournament, the Johto tournament, Sinnoh tournament, etc. Or there's like the type tournaments where you fight a bunch of different trainers of
Hmm.
grass type or flying type, etc. Like it just and all of them have brand new updated teams and like that's I love it when they do that. So you could literally spend just hours just rematching new, have it like seeing who because you could see the bracket as you progress, like seeing who beats who, and it's just a ton of fun. Yeah, like as much as I like Sword and Shield, as much as I like a lot of the newer Pokemon games that came out, I don't think they quite match the high that Black and White 2 had. I don't think Black and White 2 are my
Hmm.
absolute favorite games. I still think I like Platinum and Ruby and Sapphire and Heart Gold Soul Silver a little more. But considering how much I was like meh on Black and White 2, I think they're just they really shocked me and blew me away in a way I wasn't expecting, and I really like them. Yeah,
It's too good.
yeah.
Dude, now I want to play this. I'm gonna play this game now. You sold me. I'm about to go get me this game. Oh man, I didn't even want to talk about my game anymore. Yes,
I
I
mean,
do.
Kingdom Hearts
My
2,
game.
go for it. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I know. We all know where this is going. I mean, let's be honest. But I mean, we all okay. So yeah, it's it's the 2.5 remix. Excuse me,
I'm
but
sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, believe me, I don't even like half the things. I don't even know anymore. But yeah, basically it's the game. It has Kingdom Hearts 2 remastered on it. It has a few other ones, but this is the main one I'm talking about, just because Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favorite game probably ever.
Hmm.
I've beat it, I think, 5 times all the way through, which is like
Ah,
that's like oh yeah, which
it's a
is
good
I
number.
mean I don't think that's like a lot, but like there's a lot you can do in that game
Mm,
considering you go to level 99 all the time, especially with the newer version because unlike the original game, in the remix version there's an entire whole new world
mm,
after you beat the game, which is really cool. You have to use every skill learned and leveled up all the way just to get there, or you won't even get there. It's like you have to go over these like passes or a challenge, and the like buff that the like random encounters get is ridiculous.
mm.
You will get wrecked on sight. Like I walked in, saw 3 nobodies show up. Both of my party members died as I walked
Oh,
into the room. Not
oh
even
no.
kidding, because they jumped down and just smashed, and they have like a ground shake that like if I didn't jump, I would have died on sight
Uh,
almost. So it was
wow.
ridiculous. So I was just like, oh, it's like that. But when you play the game enough, you figure out how to get through it. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
such a fun game. The thing I love about Kingdom Hearts 2 in general is just like it does the best job of balancing the story with the Disney worlds. Because I feel like, especially in Kingdom Hearts 3, the Disney world, there was no reason to go there. There was
Yeah.
you just because it's a Disney game.
Mm.
Here it's like you need to come here because this person's here. This person can help you with this. Like you're not coming for the Disney characters; they just happen to be there.
Yeah.
You're chasing someone else doing this, and it's very cool. They have the drive forms, the double keyblade stuff is just epic. They add a new form, which is completely broken, but you
Mm.
kind of need it because by the end of the game, if you don't use it, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it's the boss, and what I love about the final level is that there's the last room in the whole game it's called Cavern of Remembrance, and basically of the 13 bosses you
Mm.
fought throughout the game, they're back level 99. They have health
Oh.
bars literally as big as the screen, and it's just like survive.
You fight
Or
them all
no.
at the same time?
No.
Oh, okay.
That would be impossible.
Okay.
Like, you would not.
Mm.
You would die. But no, it's 13, and I like that better. It's 13 individual fights, and each fight is its own thing.
Okay.
Some fights you have to. It's literally mini games. Some fights you get turned into a book. Like sometimes, like it just depends. Like you think I'm kidding. I'm really like it's so weird, and it's like, but they're all fun in their own individual ways, and they're basically broken. You can get one shot at by half of them, but I mean, it's just so much fun to like. It feels like you're actually building towards something this time, which is really cool. There's other stuff. There's like a tournament and stuff, but like as far as just like, I don't know. There's something like you just walk in and it's just like. There you go.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like a lot more games could do that. Like it adds more replay value.
Is that a post game thing or is it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a post game thing that's only in the remake version because basically they made basically another half of the game in the remake.
Sweet. Yeah, because I know every Kirby game has like a boss rush mode after you beat the game. I know Mega Man is also famous for doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's really good, and I love because again I played like the Mega Man games on Game Boy that had stuff like that at the end of the game where it was just bosses on steroids. And it was like good luck, and like here was kind of the same idea, which it was just like a finger breaking the controller, like guard everything or die for like 5 minutes, and like oh no, it's just so much fun. I love that game, and it's just. I don't know. I could play that. I might play that game again. I don't even know.
Okay.
It's been enough time. It's been a couple months. I'll run it through it again.
A couple months.
Oh, man. I was like, it's been 3 weeks. Yeah, I got time.
Yeah.
I might give Kingdom Hearts 3 another shot. I don't know. I'm thinking about
it. Did you play the DLC for it?
No, but I watched it. It was.
Yeah.
They kind of had the same idea with the whole like. Bosses at the end thing. I saw like the DLC is mostly just redoing the ending, and they have kind of the boss at the end. But I didn't like the boss battles in the Kingdom Hearts 3. They felt way too. It was like really the combat's really floaty, and I know that's like a really like lame term. I know somebody, but like
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but it really does. It's just like I can do like all this in there. Like in Kingdom Hearts 2, the combat's really a strong point for the game. You actually have to know what you're doing. You can't just if you put on easy you can just slash to win, but like at a certain point on the hardest difficulty it won't matter. Like if you reach a certain point they will wreck you. But yeah, that is among other reasons why I love that game.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to say about any of the games we talked about today before we sign off?
I think we've said plenty about all the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, great games. I love video games. I'm really excited for this Pokemon music, though. I'm kind of ready.
Like, literally, I've already heard these songs hundreds of times each. There are some times when, like, a random song will be, like, recommended to me on YouTube. It's like, oh, listen to that, and then an hour goes by, I'm just listening to Pokemon music for the entire time. It's great. Yeah, this is a pretty good decade for video games.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, leave a comment down below. Tell us what games you've played this decade. What are your favorite games that you played this decade? What are some of your least favorite games you played this decade? That's also fun to hear about. And yeah, with all of that, we'll see you all next time.
Take care, everybody.